across the UK, online and on DAB.
He has made a covenant with the night, and with the darkness he is in agreement.
Uncut after-hours conversation for the up-all-night generation. Late Night Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Good evening, dear listener. This is Iain Lee. This is Talk Radio, and the person you can hear banging around in the background is Tony Robbins.
I don't want to do this. I don't. Look, will you look at that stream?
Yes.
So, like, you are well lit
Yes.
and look about 6'5". I look like one of the seven dwarfs, and I'm in the shadows.
Well, I am about 6'5", and you are quite tiny.
Oh, come on! I'm not that small.
Come on. Okay, do you want a cushion to sit on, Tony?
No, don't patronise me.
Okay.
Just like me.
Where are the bloody mince pies you were promising?
Well, I tweeted. No, I tweeted Kath.
Yes.
Mad Kath. I tweeted her.
That name's gonna stick.
And I said, I'll stop at Fortnum's and get some.
Yes.
And she goes, oh no, we're Greg's people. We are.
Well, she is. Yeah,
Come
she is
on,
quite common.
She's media.
You're quite common though. You play. I've read the whole book, Tony. I've read the whole book. There's no secrets from me, buddy. You come across on TV as quite well spoken and quite well to do, but you're.
Well,
Right.
I'm half and half really,
Right.
because my mum and dad were working class Hackney people,
Yeah.
and my dad just before the war. He was very bright, but he couldn't go to university because he was the second son of a working class family.
Right.
There was no money to do it in those days. So he worked for what was then called the London County Council, which became the Greater London Council. And in order to get on, you had to do exams, and he would just like study every night, and he passed his exams and got sufficient money to be able to put the mortgage down on a semi-detached house in South Woodford.
Brilliant.
Which was like, the beginning of kind of, I wouldn't say it was posh, but it was certainly...
People didn't do it in those days.
No.
It was not that common to get a
they
mortgage.
Said, their friend said, you have paid £998 for this house.
Yeah.
You will be weighed down with debt for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So they were like in semi-detached world. So half of my childhood was like looking back at Hackney and all that consider yourself stuff.
Literally,
and, and the other half was looking out into Essex, which in those days was really posh.
Yeah.
And in fact, when you think about it, the people that we call like Essex boys and Essex girls, how come they've got those Cockney accents and those chirpy wit?
Yeah.
That chirpy wit. It's because they're all the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of the white working class who left London like my mum and dad did.
Did your... I love the book, and people who've been listening the last couple of weeks will have heard me reading out loads of bits, changing some of the bits because it's filthy. A lot of the 60s and 70s, you were doing kind of experimental theatre or fringe theatre or, kind of not the mainstream. Did your parents, who sounded absolutely delightful, by the way, did they ever say, come on now, Tony, you've had a fair crack at this, maybe you should get a proper job? No,
not at all. When my dad went into the RAF in the Second World War, he was just like a corporal fitter in the RAF, patching up the hurricanes. He used to say so that posher kids could fly up in the sky, shoot down Jerry, and then die.
Yeah.
But he's in East Scotland doing this, and there's a Canadian Forces dance band, lots of Canadians up there at that time, and they hadn't got a pianist. And so my dad said, I'll do it. He could only just about find his way around the piano. But so throughout the Second World War, he had the time of his life going around all these village halls in East Scotland playing boogie piano. And he became the most fantastic boogie pianist. Wow. And you know how pianists in those bands, they became the front people. I mean, you could see that later on in Little Richard.
Jerry Lee Lewis.
Absolutely. It was very much that they followed on from all those boogie stars. So my dad was like that, 5'3",
really?
prancing round. And so then when he came back to South Woodford when the war was over, and my mum went into the WAF and she was doing lots of amateur drama, and then they found they'd got this little kid who had got some kind of talent for doing all that kind of thing. They just loved it. It was what they were never able to do, or it was, somehow I was able to act out their dreams in a funny sort of way. So up until my mid-20s, most of my theatre was pretty straight, and they loved that. But then the 60s, early 70s came, and like an awful lot of young people at that time, I was really irritated by what seemed to me to be the formality, the bourgeois nature of British theatre, and I wanted to kick against the traces. And even then, Mum and Dad were quite happy. They didn't. I can remember appearing nude at the almost free theatre.
I have in my very brief theatrical career, I've appeared nude in front of my mum.
Got the old man out.
Yeah, it's
give it a little polish before you go on. It doesn't look quite as tiny.
It's a very freeing thing to do. I didn't have a woman in bed with me if I've got the same performance, trying to arouse me like you do every night before you jump out naked in front of everyone. She was trying to get you hard.
Yeah. My mum, you see, my mum.
We're straight in there. We might as well
to finish the less outrageous part of the story. When my mum saw me in the nude, I said, does it worry you? She said, no. You look like you were wearing a very smart little suit.
I'm going to say that to my boys when they have a bath, yes.
But there's this wonderful woman called Maggie Ford, who was a friend of mine who was in the show too. She was playing my wife. And at the very end of the show, it's a bit too complex to explain, but the play was called Little Hopping Robin, right? And my character is Little Hopping Robin, but it is also the name of my Willie. and when you start seeing the play, the play seems really, really weird. Yeah. And after about a quarter of an hour, the audience realised that the play was actually a dream that my character was having. So you learn about his real life. It's quite a clever idea. You learn about his real life from the fantasies that he's having in the dream. And then right at the very end of the play, there's a lighting change. There's darkness, and then the lights slowly come up. And Little Hopping Robin, my character, is in bed with his wife. It's like it's morning. Yeah. And then I get up and I walk towards the audience with no clothes on, and I've got this electric razor and I start shaving. So it's like the fantasy is all over, and now the agony of the real world has begun. And I'm there,
And this isn't in like a huge theatre. This is in like a tiny little theatre.
It's a tiny
space.
little theatre. So I think I say in the book that if I'd sneezed, it would have waved about in the front row's face. Anyway, so Maggie says to me at the dress rehearsal, she said, well, what would happen if, if you had an erection at that moment? I said, don't be silly, Maggie. I said, it's theatre. That wouldn't happen. I'm an actor. I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. I'm not kind of having some weird sort of, erotic moment in front of the audience. I'm far too professional for that. And she said, what were you... You don't think you'd ever have an erection? I said, no. And she said, not even if I tried to make you have one? And I said, well, obviously, if you grabbed hold of it and waved it about, she said, you're saying that I could do what I liked as long as I didn't touch it and you wouldn't have an erection? I said, no, absolutely not.
There's a challenge.
What a stupid thing to know. Why did I say no, absolutely not? Yeah. I could have just let it hang. Yeah. Literally. and walked away. But no, Mr. Blah, blah, blah. So,
yes,
every night at the end of the play, we would be under the duvet together in that blackout. And she would do something to me. Like I might hear her moisten her thumb and just touch my chest. Or a knee might rub my thigh.
I'm getting hard now just thinking about it. This is outrageous.
He actually is, listeners.
Yes, very erotic.
And the worst one, the worst one was the night that my mum and dad came. I mean, to get a little, can I say stiffy?
You can say stiffy, yes.
To get, to get a stiffy in front of an audience would be bad enough, but in front of your mum and dad,
is very Freudian.
Why that should make a difference, I don't know, but it would just be awful. Wouldn't it? So she knows my mum and dad are out there. So I'm lying there in the darkness with the duvet on and Maggie. And I'm lying there and nothing happens. And I'm thinking, what is she going to do? And still she does nothing. And then, of course, my mind starts to go, what will she do? Will she do this? Will she do that? Will she do the other? Oh, God, I think something's happening.
Maggie's a very naughty lady.
And then the lights went on.
Yeah.
And the lights went on. And so I turned back the duvet and I got out of bed. But I made sure my back was to the audience.
So you gave a little check.
I did that familiar for any man who's been in that situation. The hard slap with the back of the hand. Bang! Like a monkey's tail going across the horizon. And and it seemed to be all right. But to this day, I don't know whether or not there was a little bit more blood flowing than would normally.
You don't know if your mum was looking you in the eye, so to speak. Yeah. Tony, you've said you're quite happy to take calls.
What about that incident?
From the authorities. 40 years ago, I was in an experimental theatre, and I believe Tony Robinson was aroused in front of me. I'd like to...
all these years, I've thought it was because of me.
Put your headphones on. We've got...
right.
If you want to call in, 0344 499 1000.
It's you.
No, it's say hello to Alan Caddick.
Oh. Hello, Alan Caddick.
Good evening, Sir Tony.
Oh, Sir Tony.
You creep.
At least somebody has said it, Ian.
I didn't know. I don't know what the etiquette is, and I was panicking about whether I should say Sir Tony. You go, oh no, it's fine. Just call me Tony.
But you could have given me the opportunity to be Jack the Lad, couldn't it? As it was.
I still find it incredible that you. Do you still find it incredible? You are a knight of the realm. You are Sir Tony of Robinson. Is that?
Yeah.
You just accept it now.
Well, I forget all about it now.
Yeah.
I mean, I swear to you, I hadn't thought about that all day until it was the first 3 months. I just thought it was the wildest, most crazy, wonderful thing in the world. Are you still there, Alan? By the way,
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, you're right.
I know, man.
All right.
I mean, you're a true icon of my childhood. We Stay Tuned and Maid Marian.
Hey,
There's a little volume control if Alan's annoying you too much. If you follow your headphone cable, Tony. But,
okay, yeah.
Hip, 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 Ian, by the way.
Hip, 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 Alan. Nice to talk to you. Again, I don't want to do too many of the stories from the book, because I think people should buy the book. But it opens up with you finding out that you knew you were up for some. How does that work then? Is there like a rumour, or does someone get in touch with you?
You're not supposed to know anything until you get the letter. But, I just happened to be amongst a group of people who were fairly close to the sources of power, and this woman, I'm eating with dinner, and this woman who I knew just a little bit came over to me. She just leant into my ear. She said, "You, Tony, you may be getting a letter fairly soon, and I think you might be quite happy about its contents." And then she looked at me and she said, "Do you know what I mean?" And I said, yeah. I had no idea. Hadn't a flipping clue.
Well done.
I hadn't a flipping clue what she was talking about. But my daughter is much more clued up about politics, that kind of thing. She said, I think that means that you're going to, get something. Yeah. Get an award or something. And
you did, and you are, and I was so pleased when I read it, because I didn't know a lot about your kind of all your political work and all the stuff that you did in the 60s and 70s, and before you became famous in terms of the television. And I was so pleased that one of the good guys had got a ridiculously wonderful, a sir. Reading the book, it makes more sense, kind of knowing where you've come from and what all the things that you've achieved and you've worked for outside of, TV studios.
It's very nice that you're flattering me like this, but I can hear Alan's breathing.
Alan, what would you like to say to Sir Tony?
Sir Tony, you're a true icon of my childhood. We Stay Tuned and Maid Marian. What inspired you to create Maid Marian and a Merry Man?
Oh, what inspired you to create Maid Marian and a Merry Man? It feels like Swap Shop now.
It does. Yeah. Right. I used to go and pick up my daughter from school when she was about 9 or 10, and this may surprise you, but she's not the tallest pencil in the box.
Okay.
And she certainly wasn't when she was 9 or 10, but she has got this incredible dominant personality. And somehow or other, she had constructed the world in such a way whereby she would be the striker of the school football, the primary school football team. and she would go, and she was just so useless at football. And whenever anyone, the ball came anywhere near her, it would bounce off her somewhere random. And all the other 10 members of the team would be chasing around after her like this swarm of bees. Yeah. And every time one of them got it, she would berate them. Fantastic. And I remember, as I was watching her, I was thinking, God, if you'd been around at the time of Robin Hood and his merry men, it wouldn't have been Robin who was running the gang. And it was just that thought. It's like, you know, in Hollywood they say you need the one-line pitch, and that was my one-line pitch to the BBC. And it was like, you know, this is years and years and years ago, and I got the commission really on that one-line pitch. I got the commission to write a pilot.
And people talk so fondly of it still. You know, it was, and it was one of those it was one of those programmes that kids could enjoy it, but also adults would dig it as well.
My contention was, and I think you see this in Roald Dahl and in writers like Joan Aitken, Dinah Wynne Jones, the Brothers Grimm, Hans Andersen, that a writer who's worth their salt, who's writing what we call children's books, doesn't, as it were, write for children. They write to that part of their heart and soul that they use when they're addressing children, when they're thinking. But you've got kids, haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Whenever
totally.
you're talking about your kids or their friends, there's a part of you, isn't there, that is engaged with. And that, I think, is what you write into. Now, so it felt to me that as long as I'm writing into that space, I can actually say what I like and be as witty as I want to, as long as I never betray that space. And I think what that means is that if you pull off that trick, it means that adults enjoy it as much as the kids do. And you can even, as long as you are telling a joke that's funny for kids, if there's a colour to it that also makes adults laugh, that's fine. You know, why not? And that's what you know, an awful lot of
sorry, one second. Alan, are you either eating or masturbating? What's going on there?
I'm composing an email for Performance Ring.
Okay, you're composing an email. Okay, well, thanks for calling, Alan.
Thank you.
Bye. 0344.
He didn't answer your question.
No, he did. He didn't. You reminded me. Well, the listeners will know that I've been writing.
Because I've written emails by doing at least one of those. Well, doing at least.
It
one
helps
of those,
concentrate. Yeah. I've been writing a list of all the names that pop up in your book, and I've left the bloody list at home. Julia Donaldson.
Yeah.
Talking about children's books and stuff. You were friends. You knew her. You know her.
I'd very seldom. We've got the same publisher now and all that kind of stuff. But no, this is in the 70s.
Yeah.
There were a whole, but there was a wonderful, a brilliant theatre director who only died 2 or 3 weeks ago. Did lots of stuff for the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare Company called Howard Davis. He and I, Julia Donaldson, the guy who had the idea that we should have cycle tracks round the whole of England. John Grimshaw, just a load of us. We were all like in our mid to late 20s in Bristol. Heady smoke was in the air, lots of wonderful ideas. It was a great time. I don't think Julia Donaldson ever had a spliff in her life.
No, of course.
Not indeed, nor me. But
well, hang on, we'll get onto that a bit later on. For those who don't know, Julia Donaldson, if you've got kids, you'll know who she is. She's written some of the most magical books for young people that are just because. When you're reading, my boys are going to be 7 and 5 in January, so the oldest has started reading himself now, doesn't want me to read to him. But if you're going to be reading your books to kids, there's got to be a little something in it. It's got to be, a good story and there's got to be something to it. And Julia has that perfectly. It's magical. Absolutely magical.
There's a smartness about what she does. It's like a Japanese haiku, isn't it? You think, how can someone be that smart and that vivid?
Yeah.
And they've written a book which is about like 130 words or whatever.
She conveys a whole world in those short words.
Yeah. And it was, in a way, I'm using Julia as a metaphor in that book. She was one of about 20 or 30 people who were around at that time who just completely blew me away. I was like had always been very much like a London-based actor, and went down to Bristol, to Clifton, which is really posh now. It's a bit like Shoreditch when I was a kid was the roughest place. No one would live in Shoreditch. It was a joke, you'll end up in Shoreditch. And really exactly the same thing.
Clifton's very fancy now, yeah.
But it was, in those days, it was just, it was lots and lots of flats. Lovely housing stock, but lots of student flats. And that was the kind of environment that I had.
I want to play you one of your greatest hits. You must be sick to death of hearing this, but I don't care. I'm going to play this because I just think this sums up everything about you so wonderfully. Have a listen to this. Recognise those footsteps?
Yes, they are mine.
I love it!
They are my footsteps. You think they're Oliver Twist's?
Everything is a lie. That's from the original 1960 soundtrack recording of Oliver,
which was made in the Maida Vale studios.
Was it really?
Yeah, where the Beatles and the Stones later, much later, did their all those historic live BBC stuff.
Yeah.
So much of the John Peel stuff came out of those studios, and I'm 13 years old. I'm in this new hit musical called Oliver. I'm just playing one of the boys.
When Oliver was a sensation. It's easy to forget that everyone was completely enamoured by it.
Yeah, the thing is, Ian, up until that time, ordinary theatre, like straight theatre, that had been busted wide open. All that sort of post-war politeness had gone with people like George Osborne, Howard Pinter, Arnold Wesker. The musical was still...
Joe Osborne. Is it George?
George. No, George. I said that George Osborne. Yes. John Osborne.
Yeah, John Osborne.
George Osborne was writing plays at that time, but they were pretty crappy. Yeah. So, that was a very interesting Freudian slip.
There we go. You see the politics fighting to get out.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
The musical at that time was American. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, Paint Your Wagon, Oklahoma, Carousel. There's just millions of them. There wasn't an English musical. Suddenly, we come on, this bunch of chirpy little London boys and Fagin and Nancy and all that stuff. We're British. And the audiences absolutely loved it. It was a smash hit. A few weeks in, they realised it was a smash hit, so they could start selling, vinyl, long players.
Make a few quid out of it,
in the bars in the interval. So we went in and recorded it, and the boy who was playing the Oliver Twist, and actually that violin does sound like the beginning of the Blackadder thing.
I know. I just realised that I was playing that. I thought I can imagine his heart sinking. He's doing that. No,
but anyway. So Keith Hampshire, the boy who's playing the Artful Dodger, is supposed to walk up and ask for more.
Yeah.
But he's got, and here's a word you don't hear very often now, he's got plimsolls on.
Wonderful.
And I go, I've got my Chelsea boots on.
With a big heel?
With a big heel.
Good for you.
Yeah. 13, I'm like, I can walk under a table.
Yeah.
So little. And so I did that long and dramatic walk. And it's still there. I mean, that album is still, you can still get that.
Yeah. Oh, good.
And I get like about £7.83 a year.
Really? Do you still get residuals on that?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
It's my happy feet.
We've been playing that a lot this week. Guess who's coming on next week? Listen to these feet for a clue. There are so many revelations in the book. I should mention the title of the book. That would help, wouldn't it? Tony Robinson, No Cunning Plan, My Story.
It took me a long... Actually, the truth is...
Don't tell me it was ghostwritten.
No, you bet
Whoa.
not. Oh, no. God,
I hate that.
No, 11 months it took me to write it. But anyway... no, it wasn't ghostwritten. The fact that you could even raise that question, it actually really pisses me off.
Well,
I've gone back to how I was when I was the dwarf at the beginning of the programme on the screen. We've all been going nice.
I know. I asked the probing questions.
Yeah, you do.
So many of them are. I knew yours wasn't. So many of them are these days, aren't they? And it seems crazy.
God.
Why? I want a book that's by the person.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought.
How long did it take? Were you
11 months.
And were you kind of a strict? Get up at 9 o'clock, go and sit in the writing room and...
No, I've never been strict about time, but I've always been strict on delivery. It's about being an actor. So I tried to write my autobiography 4 or 5 times prior to that, and I'd never really got beyond about the first chapter. It seemed such a narcissistic thing to do. And I was irritated with myself for doing it, you know. But then when Macmillan said to me, "We will pay you," and that much.
Wow.
But you've got to deliver it within a year. Suddenly,
so you
all
had
those
a date to work to.
all those actor muscles.
Yeah.
Came in. So even though, actually, a lot of it I wrote on the plane. I had a fabulous job during that year, which was a 3-part series for Discovery on the Wild West, done in 3D. You remember, like, wearing the glasses?
Yeah.
Which was like, you could only get that if you had the really expensive Sky box.
Yeah.
And you got the glasses free. And it didn't work out for them. It was a...
Has anyone actually seen it? Because the 3D thing didn't take off, did
No,
it?
but they showed it in kind of 2.5D. They showed it for ordinary poor
for
people.
plebs, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, but like getting out to Montana and places like that was hours and hours and hours on the plane. So it was great. I never used to watch any of the HBO stuff or eat all the meals or get hammered on the plane. I just used to write there. And setting up for 3D takes forever. So there was an awful lot of time where I'd be just sitting, hanging around, and I'd just write. And it was, I managed to do it in the 11 months.
I was saying in the lift, it's very honest. And you mentioned the drugs, skinning up and it's really honest. Did you do talk about, kind of smoking weed and hash and stuff, you in the theatre.
Weed and hash and stuff.
Weed and hash and stuff.
Oh, you've been around, mate.
You got high on the spliffs, the magic cigarettes. And was there any hesitation about being so honest and so open?
I've just had my 70th birthday, really.
Gosh.
What the frig.
Yeah.
But when I first started it, I thought, this is going to be a book about my work.
Yeah.
That's what's interesting, and that's what... it's always embarrassing when I say, that's what my fans want to hear about. But the more I wrote it, the more I thought, it doesn't make sense. My choices don't make sense unless I write about the rest of my life. It just kind of doesn't work.
Yeah.
And in a way, it was like very much a writer's muscle that made me decide to include much more of the raw stuff about my life, my relationships, sex, drugs, rock and roll. It wasn't really that I wanted to be particularly sensational. I think I would have, if I had, I could have written the same stuff, but in a kind of ruder sort of way.
Oh, and I didn't think it was sensational at all. It was really interesting. I have had a relationship with drugs in the past, and I was just thinking, well, I don't know if I could be that honest and open about it. And it's not you going, hey man, I did this and I did this and I did this. It's drugs are a part of a lot of people's lives, and it's just part of your life.
I think what happens, I found the second half of the book harder to write. It's like when I was a kid and being a child professional actor and all that, and even the late 60s and all the nonsense that we got up to then. Of course, I'm writing about me, but in a way, I'm looking at it down a telescope, like the wrong end maybe of the telescope. It's someone I know, but I feel wryly amused about that person, and that person made so many stupid mistakes, and if it was me now, I would do things in a different way. But you're not. You're like in your late teens, your early 20s, and the world's different. So I could do it with a kind of affection for that person. And so it wasn't sort of embarrassing. I mean, there are 2 or 3 whoa bits in it, aren't there?
Yeah,
but I didn't which when I read up to my kids, they went, "Oh God, you're not going to say that in a book." I have to go to work and with people who might have read it. But nevertheless, I felt a kind of affection for it, and hopefully that comes across.
Yeah.
You know, that when I do mess up as far as sex is concerned, there's a kind of gentle comedy about it.
Oh, the whole book's very charming.
Thank you.
You know, it's very charming. And I say, I devoured it within a few days. And it's... It made me laugh a lot. It also made me cry quite a bit. And I'll tell you, the bits that made me cry, your dad, when he got dementia, just that seemed to happen really suddenly. Just, you know, within a matter of moments, suddenly he went from being, in inverted commas, normal to having this air of confusion around him, you know, and my granddad had Alzheimer's, my mum's got MS, and she has kind of Alzheimer's sort of symptoms in that she gets very forgetful. And it's hard work to deal with that. And it must...
Can I just stop you right there?
Yeah, go.
The fact that you get very forgetful doesn't necessarily mean it has anything to do with dementia.
No,
we all have that terror.
Yeah.
But what people at Alzheimer's Society say is it's not... A symptom of Alzheimer's is not when you go into a room and forget why you've gone into that room.
Yeah.
We all do that, and we tend to do that more when we get older.
Yeah.
And you and I guess, have already started doing that.
Yes.
The symptom of Alzheimer's is when you go into a room and don't know where you are.
Right.
So I just think... Sorry, to pick you up.
No,
I just
you're
think
absolutely right.
An important observation.
Yeah,
but yeah, carry on. Anyway.
No, I was just... it must have been incredibly tough for you and your family. Of course, it's incredibly tough.
Oh, yeah,
it was an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, you said to me about how quickly it happened. In a way, in retrospect, I don't think it did. I think 2 things happened. I think, first of all, my dad covered up his confusion.
Right, okay.
And we didn't recognise what it was.
Yeah.
And secondly, my mum, who was very much part of, as it were, that Dunkirk generation, didn't share it. Her gorgeous only son, who she's so proud of, who of course doesn't live at home anymore. He's got his own life. I want him to have a great career. I don't want to bother him with that stuff. I think I get quite upset thinking about that.
Yeah,
now.
of course.
But I think there was a year in my mum's life.
She kept it.
Where she kept it to herself, and she must have been going through God knows what. But, you know, that generation was so tough and had so much belief in the fact that they shouldn't make a fuss. And indeed, we didn't know anything about Alzheimer's in those days.
No.
I mean, now, if it happened to your mum and dad or you know, or me, there would be people around who would identify it so much earlier. But see, even my dad's GP had no idea what was going on.
Well, there's that incredible bit in the book where you take him, you and your mum take him to the doctor's, and the doctor looks at you and says, "Well, do you have a cunning plan?" And it's just flipping heck. You know, you're confronted with this unknown situation, and people are making jokes about you being on the TV.
I don't really do hate. I think I'm too intellectually lazy or emotionally lazy to do hate, or for more than about 3 minutes, like when someone smashed your car window or that, and you know, you want the perpetrator's arm sawn off slowly for about 3 minutes. But some of the treatment that my dad received at that time, although I know it was about ignorance rather than people being malicious, I still feel a surge of angry hatred about that. And I think I will to the end of my days.
The place my granddad ended up in the 80s, I mean, it was just it's just heartbreaking to you know, because people didn't know what to do. The medical people didn't know what to do, you know, with people that were lost and confused like that.
But even now, every time an election is coming up, every party will talk about the fact that old people in general, and those with dementia in particular, are incredibly valued members of society, and they must be invested in. It's what is called playing to the grey vote, because older people tend to vote more than younger people do. The moment after the election has happened, the politicians, guess what? They've got temporary amnesia.
We haven't got any money in the budget to invest in care homes.
But because the clever thing is that by and large, it's not the government directly who does that. It's other agencies, isn't it? It's local government, or it's the NHS, or it's the care homes via money that goes into the care homes. Every time those cuts happen, and I'm sorry if I'm talking angry politics like someone on talk radio, but,
you should be on the Julia Hartley-Brewer show. No, you shouldn't, trust me.
I think I might have done a better job. Everybody in the world thinks they could have dealt with that situation better, don't they? Anyway, what were we talking? Yeah. Anyway,
I've not listened to it. I can't bring myself to listen to it.
Anyway, Anytime any of those cuts happens, of course, indirectly they affect the most vulnerable in society, who are old people. So, you and I remember how these things were in the 80s, and yet, sure, there are a lot of things that have changed to some extent, but the shortfall as far as investing in our own people. People with dementia are just us.
Yeah. And it's going to get worse because people are living longer. And so there is going to be more and more people that will get it, unfortunately. It terrifies me.
It's absolutely bonkers. It terrifies you. It terrifies me. Everyone we're talking to now will feel that terror, and very few people will actually get involved either socially, care-wise, politically, in trying to make things better.
Oh, I've seen it just on a side. I mentioned my mum's got MS, and she's 66, and she's got terrible. She can't do anything for herself, and she's in a care home, and has been for about 8 or 9 years. And we've had that thing where she's had to sell the house, and all of her savings have been eaten up, and all this money that she'd saved, that's all gone. And the last 6 months, it's sorted now, but she reached the £23,000 threshold. The battle we had with the council to keep her in this care home instead of just farming her out to a cheaper one that could have been miles away.
Yeah.
And I'm going, but she over the last 8 years, she's giving you about £330,000. There's no humanity in it.
There's a double cruelty, isn't there? Because you are forced, as it were, to sell your nest egg.
Yeah.
The money that you were always told by governments you ought to try and accrue.
Yep.
What do they call them? Good, hard-working, ordinary people.
Yes.
All that is leached away from you. And then when you've run out, by that time, you're likely to be in, it's not the case with your mum, but with so many people, they're likely to be in their mid-80s or whatever.
Yeah.
They've been in that care home forever and a day, and now they're told they've got to downscale the quality of their lives.
Which is incredible.
It is just horrible.
0344 499 1000. We'll take an ad. Are you okay to stick around for another 15
No,
minutes?
I'm angry now. I'm going to pace around the corridors and then maybe come back a little bit later. Feeling a little bit late.
Let's take a break and you can punch me if you want. Have you ever punched anyone? Proper punched someone in the face?
It is alleged that I have, but I think I just had a red flash.
Really? I bet you've got a bit of a temper on you, haven't you?
Deep down.
I'm worried that we're getting there. Let's go to a break.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Is he coming back? He's stormed off. Are you coming back, Tony?
Well, are you going to be sensible?
Well, I'll try and be sensible, but I just think the attitude you've displayed this evening is
disgraceful.
Absolutely outrageous. You're a knight of the realm. Is it it must be the most thrilling day out, the day you go and get knighted.
When the old sword came down.
Steady. We're talking about the...
Oh, come on here. That's why I left the room.
We're back to that play.
When the sword came down, you know how in movies everything goes into slow-mo.
Yeah.
And you know how probably the only time you ever experience that is during a car crash.
Yeah.
It does feel like slow-mo. It really did feel like it happened at that moment.
How funny.
It was old William, and it goes da, 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 and I'm thinking, what is
and
happening now?
And it must be the surrealist thing. So you're kneeling down.
Yeah.
I mean, do you look up at him or do you look at the ground? You probably don't remember.
No, I was looking at him. He's I'm no great monarchist or anything, but he's a really good. bloke who's kind of
He's good at waving a sword.
Well, no, he's like he does like irony. He twinkles.
Yeah.
He twinkles.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I talked to him afterwards, he was twinkling and he was joking about it all. So it was like I wasn't looking like someone out of Westworld knighting me, which I think I might have felt had it been some other members of.
Was there a part
family.
of your lefty ideology?
Yeah.
I said that as I'm a lefty as well. But was there a part of you that kind of questioned, should I be accepting?
No, do you know?
this?
I think if it had happened to me 10 or 20 years earlier, I might well have thought that. But I thought that one of the good things that the Blair government did was to set up this thing called the Honours Committee. So those awards now are no longer at the behest of the PR team at Buckingham Palace.
Right.
Or even at the behest of leaders of political parties. You know, like anybody can be submitted and the parties can submit too. But it's then up to this panel of people. I think there's about 40 of them altogether. And yes, admittedly, they are probably what people think of as the great and the good by and large.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, there's this bunch of people and the question they are asked is, do you think this person deserves to be honoured for their contribution to the country? And I think for the answer to be yes, how bloody cool is that? You know, how great is that? Do I feel guilty about that? No, I don't. You can argue about it with me in a pub if you like.
Yeah.
Don't care. I'm really proud to receive that honour from my country.
Good. Well, it's nice to hear it put that way. You know, are you aware of the affection that there is for you in this country?
I think I say this room.
I'd loosened my belt when you left the room, Tony.
Yeah, that was just weight.
It is.
No, I guess not really.
Really? Because there is an incredible... When, of all the guests that we've had on, so many people are so excited. And there's a real... Because of Time Team, which I've confessed to you I've never seen, but that was a phenomenon. Because of Blackadder, because of all of these things, people feel like they know you, I think.
Yeah.
And I have never heard or read a bad word about you.
Oh, you should see my Twitter feed. I remember reading Dirk Bogarde years ago, who was the nation's heartthrob.
Yeah.
He said, that is nothing to do with me. He said, I am ambitious, manipulative thug, as he said, most people in show business are.
Yeah.
I just happen to have wonderful eyes. And I thought that was a wonderful observation. You know, it's, I've always been ambitious.
Yeah.
I can have a temper on me. I can get very grouchy. I would never do, and I've been asked loads of times, I would never do I'm a celebrity, get me out of here.
Have you been asked?
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't do it, A, because I'm boring, B, because I'd come across looking like a real arse. You know?
Why? Because you'd be bossing people around, or you'd just be grumpy with the situation?
I'd get tired and irritable, I think. Yeah.
Oh, don't do it. No, don't do any of that. Big Brother, though, you'd be up for that? You go in the Big Brother house?
I just wouldn't be very nice.
That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
That's what we want to see.
Well, you know.
Do it. No,
200 grand?
No. We must mention this. The book, by the way, Tony Robinson, No Cunning Plan. I'll retweet the link on Amazon as well. Ideal Christmas present, guys.
For everybody in the family, guys.
Everybody. You've been doing a series of kind of live dates to promote the book. You've got one more coming up.
Yeah. This is soppy romanticism.
This is great. I love this.
Okay. It's in South Woodford, which is further on from East London.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually in Woodford Green. The postcode is no longer London. It's where Essex starts.
Right.
And it's at the Sir James Hawkey Hall, where I did all my amateur acting when I was 9 or 10, and where my mum and dad did all their amateur acting
isn't that lovely?
In a group called the Wanstead Players. And I just thought it would be really lovely.
That'd be proper magic.
End my book tour, which has gone all over the country in some really, lovely gigs.
Is the theatre has much been done to this venue?
It's a nice hall.
But is it? I mean,
it's a 60s hall with a stage.
Is it the same hall? Is it the same hall that your mum and dad would have been in?
It's funny because I was round that way fairly recently, and I peered in through the double doors, and there was just a crack, just a few inches big. And this is when I decided I wanted to do it. And I peered in, and I could see, and it looked just the same.
Oh, fantastic!
I think probably the chairs aren't those. Those like metal tubular ones with a bit of canvas on. Yes. I think they're probably not that anymore. They're probably a bit comfier than that.
Isn't that fantastic, though? So what a lovely thing to do.
That's on Wednesday evening at the Sir James Hawkey Hall, Woodford Green. Well, and if you live around that way.
What are you on Twitter? Because you're Tony _Robinson.
I am, yeah.
So there's a Tony Robinson who got there first.
Yeah. Well, I was never kind of very interested in doing it, and about 6 months ago, I decided to have a go at it, and I've really enjoyed it.
Welcome to the dark side. Yeah. It's all downhill from here.
Yes, people are can be really daft. Actually, what I do find nice is that when people slag me off, actually, there's always 2 or 3 people out there who will come and defend me in a witty way.
Yeah.
They'll play that joke. I mean, you and I were playing that joke earlier on.
Oh no, I meant every word of that.
Well, and Mad Kath. I thought Mad Kath would turn out to be, a nice middle class producer. Listeners, she is in rags. Her hair is like Miss Havisham. It's a bit hideous, and I can say that because she doesn't understand most of what's going on.
You're a braver man than me. Blimey, I was there's so much in the book that I sort of want to talk about, but I don't want to talk about. So I don't want to read it. I've just opened the book randomly. John Wayne.
Yeah,
you work with John Wayne, and I love the bit where. Well, there's so much about that whole story is great, but when John Wayne's trying to improvise some dialogue, and he doesn't have a clue because he's from a different world. That's not what he was it? But he's really struggling to improvise.
It was one of the weirdest times in my life. I mean, I won't go into. I talk at length about John Wayne because. I was saying to you earlier, wasn't I, that before we started all this, that so much of my life, there's a play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead by Tom Stoppard, and it's a brilliant device. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, who in Hamlet are tiny, tiny parts.
They pop in twice, don't they, I think?
Yeah, something, I don't know, something like that. But in this play, it's about their lives and them talking to each other, and then suddenly 2 or 3 times an act, Hamlet will come by, and suddenly the lights blaze, and they're sort of trying to talk to Hamlet, but he's talking to his court, and everyone thinks Hamlet's wonderful, and then Hamlet disappears again, and the lights go dim, and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are just talking to each other in their boring way. I have felt for most of my life like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, and so when I'm making this film with John Wayne, I've just got this bit part in it. Every week or so, suddenly he would be there with his whole court, and everything would be dramatic, and everything would turn different. And there was this one time where I'm shooting a scene with him in the King George V dock. This is when there was still a dock there, although it was really rotting and falling apart. And I'm jammed in his Winnebago, and. Winnebago always sounds really exotic. They are fairly small, and when you've got him and all his producers and all their acolytes,
it's a posh caravan.
It is. Yeah, exactly. So when all his people are there, and there's me and the director are kind of pushed up against the lav, and the director's trying to explain to him about how he should improvise, and he is totally unable to understand the concept of improvisation, and at the same time he is unbuttoning his shirt, and this giant of a man, this god of a man, reveals himself, because he's just got over having cancer, as having the biggest mother-hugging scar. See what I did there? That you've ever seen in your life, that starts at his throat and goes down to his tummy button, then turns left, like someone's opened him up like a book. And I'm still trying to have this bizarre conversation with him. And at the same moment, his wig man is putting on his wig, which is the most important thing in the film.
Yeah.
It's far more important than this wonderful hulk of a man underneath it. The wig must have cost, and must have cost thousands of pounds, and must have sacrificed the hair of probably a quarter of the developing world. But it's like solid. If he had spun round, the wig would have stayed
fantastic
where it was, and all that. And we're trying to do an impro class, darling. That time it was pretty weird,
and he doesn't get it, does he? So I'm angry, yeah, but I understand what's going on, yeah. And I'll say, I'll throw you in the water, yeah. You do that, John. It's very quick. We've only got a couple of minutes left, and the book really is a joy, Tony, and it felt very weird meeting you this evening because I've read this over the last 5 days. And it feels like I know you. I don't know you, of course not. But if you give so freely of yourself in the book. In the last 2 minutes, though, Steve Marriott of the Small Faces. You were friends with Steve Marriott as a kid.
Yeah, but it was one of those funny friendships. I think most kids have got them. We were supposed to be like great friends, and in a way we were. But he bullied me.
Oh no!
So much of the time.
Did he?
Yeah. He was he was a bit younger than me, but he was like this beefy boy.
Yeah.
And he was from Plaistow, which was rougher than South Woodford, so he could be like this rough boy.
Yeah.
And he was in Oliver too. He was my understudy in Oliver. And if you hear it, listen to his songs now.
Yeah.
And you can hear that he's like this cross between Little Richard and the Artful Dodger.
Yeah, there really is that.
It really is that. Yeah. And so we assumed that we were friends. It wasn't like that we weren't friends, but we were friends that had, yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah. But it was all right because later, if you read his autobiographies, that's what he did to everybody.
Oh, right.
And until I kind of read about him and his struggle, because he really struggled with
sad life,
and he struggled with personal
success.
relationships.
Yeah.
And people did go off him because that's what he'd learned. That's how he'd learned how to deal with things, and it was such a liberation to me because I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
It's like, imagine if Paul McCartney had bullied you and you thought you were the only person in the world that Paul McCartney had bullied.
There's that bit where you go and he gets a bit of success with the band and you go and see him in a concert and you wait backstage to meet him and he comes out and he doesn't notice you because there are screaming fans, but he looks kind of bloated and unhappy and disinterested and very sad life.
I still to this day don't know whether he caught my eye or not at that moment. And I just the doors of the coach close, and they drive off, and it's like my childhood is driving off with them.
Tony, it's such a thrill to meet you, and thank you so much for coming in. And the book is an absolute joy. Tony Robinson, No Cunning Plan. It's out now. The show again, is it this Wednesday that's happening?
This Wednesday at the Sir James Hawkey Hall.
And if people want to get tickets, where you don't know, do you? I've asked the wrong person that question. I'll retweet the link for the book and people can come and hassle you on Twitter.
Cheers, mate.
It's so nice to meet you, Tony.
It was fun, wasn't it?
This is brilliant. Well done. Fantastic. Sir Anthony... There we go.
It seemed like it was only 3 hours, this interview.
You cheeky git. We'll take your calls after the news. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. This is Talk Radio.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
I'm all thumbs, no action. Attention deficit distraction. My brain operates on a fraction. All thumbs, no human interaction. I speak in typos, predictive texting. I spell checked it. I stand auto-corrected. I unplug your life support to make an outlet for my iPhone, and then you died. Asterisk then you died. Aristocrat. I unplug your life support to
I was realising towards the end of that interview, let me just have a little smell of my pits. Yeah, I was smelling a bit fresh. I was smelling a little bit fresh. Did Tony Robinson diss Julia Hartley-Brewer during that interview? I think he did. I think he pwned her. I was smelling a bit fresh. I went to the gym before the show. I did a 45-minute I did 20 minutes weights and then 45 minutes spinnings. I showered there. They fixed the shower facilities. And I think I put deodorant on, but I was aware that my deodorant was causing quite a lot of smoke in the changing room. So I did but I felt, I think I smell a bit.
Okay, hang on.
Where are you going?
Come on.
Oh, flipping it.
I'm not putting up with this.
Hey, rap fans. That was fun, wasn't it? Tomorrow, who have we got on tomorrow? Hang on a second, let me get you the book. Oh, I've left it in the other room. Anyway, tomorrow we've got a gentleman on who has written a book about Stephen Stills. Love the one you're with. So that'll be good. And then Wednesday, we have Peter Tatchell on the show. Just because I think Peter Tatchell is an absolute legend and a hero. And we should tell our legends and our heroes. Is it Wednesday that Tatchell's coming on? I think it is, isn't it? Dougie's coming in on Thursday. Dougie Anderson.
Here we go. There we go. No problems, only solutions.
Dougie Anderson's coming in on Thursday to talk about a new project he's got on YouTube. He's putting up his own shows on YouTube. He sent me the latest one, actually. I need to have a look at that. Tatchell on Wednesday. Tomorrow it's the guy who wrote the Stephen Stills book, whose name escapes me.
Something David.
Something. And that, dear listener, is your Week of Legends, I'm calling it.
Peter Tatchell Wednesday.
Yes, I know, I just said that.
Just to confirm.
0344. No, I do not want a normal cup of tea, Edward. I will buy some more Red Bush tomorrow. 0344 499 1000. Well, now, I just refresh my Twitter. Couldn't really do it when Tony was here because it was rude. 120 tweets. That was brilliant. Can you ask him this? Can you ask him that? He's brilliant. Tell him he's fab. One phone call. Now, I don't want to go all Richard Spendlove on your ass. But if this doesn't change, and I've thought long and hard about this, and I've spoken to my wife, so I'm not saying this lightly. If this doesn't change, then I will be retiring.
Promises.
Promises. Promises. He was fun that day. Now he's
still abusing me.
He's tweeting Lino and oh dearie me. Well, he was nice, wasn't he?
Yeah, you were so nervous.
I was really nervous. We were chatting to him for half an hour in the green room, in the Talk Radio office, and there is a lot of affection for him. That wasn't misplaced, me saying that, was it? It was, maybe he was being modest when he said he was unaware of it, because he must be aware of it. Everybody, he's 70.
I know.
Flipping heck. I did confess to him I'd never watched Time Team.
Oh, haven't you?
No, I've never seen it.
Oh, I've watched it. I used to love it.
Yeah, no, I think the thing is, I think I probably would love it. It's just, I just one of those things I never got round to watching. I don't really watch TV now, so it would be meaningless to me. Let's take some phone calls. Jonathan.
Hello.
Hello, Jonathan.
My name is Lindsay Janeway. My personal pronoun is she, pronounced XHE. And I have seen the light. I have now embraced the world of social justice warriors. I am a social justice warrior. I am a trans female, trans black, trans Jew woman who has given up her white male privilege in solidarity with all the oppressed women and minorities of the world.
Thanks for calling, Jonathan.
You okay, hon?
Someone is on new meds. Someone's on new drugs, aren't they?
Gosh.
0344 499 1000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. You're more than welcome to. I can lend you the Tony Robinson book now. Be careful, it's signed.
Well, he said to me, I am not allowed to borrow it. I have to buy one.
Yeah, well,
he's not going to know.
What he doesn't know is I'm going to do photocopies of it and sell it for 5 pence. We had fun on Friday night. We had planned to, after the show, go to the Edgware Road, because they've got all those hookah bars.
Shisha,
a little bit of shisha.
Don't be telling people we go to hookah bars.
And because they're open, as we found out, 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And they do nice little lamb kebabs, whatever you want. Beautiful. When we go, beautiful bit of food. It's only about...
What was it? I had a chicken taube.
Eh? Anyway, we were driving there, and you, being an idiot, you curbed it, and you knackered...
Both right tyres.
Both driver side tyres. And not just like... They were ripped to shreds.
It was like I'd been in some sort of chariot race with Ben-Hur. And lost.
Did they have tyres on the chariot race? I don't think so.
OK, well, I would be driving and he would be in the chariot.
Anyway,
and he'd have like slashes.
You drive like a dickhead.
No, I don't.
You did them?
I did then, but I don't. I wouldn't. I would say I don't do that as a matter of course.
And I was excellent.
You were.
I was excellent.
I went into a bit of a sort of spasm, a mind spasm.
You did. You turned into a girl.
Oh no.
You turned into Mad Kath.
Not even Mad Kath, just rubbish Kath.
You just sat there and I was going, right, I'll sort this out.
I had no idea.
I'll sort this out. So I phoned the AA up, of which I'm a member, of which you are not.
No.
I paid, and I'm not keeping a tally, but I paid £55 to upgrade my membership so that I am now with the AA, not my car.
Right.
So any vehicle I'm in that has a problem, I can phone the AA.
You get extra reassurance for that £55.
Well,
you're welcome.
I don't. Well, you know, I'm counting every penny that I spend, and I spent £55, and that's fine. And you didn't offer to.
I didn't know about that. You just told me about that.
You were there when I paid it.
I did not know that.
I told you that night, and I was in your car.
I didn't hear the conversation.
Why did you think I was giving her... why did you think I said, OK, well, I'll upgrade my AA membership, here's my card number? What do you think that was?
I was in a mind spasm.
So
anyway.
I did that. And lady said, OK, we will find a local tyre place. This was about 1:45.
Yeah.
We will find a local tyre place, and we'll be in touch. And I was like, all right, fine. And within about 10 minutes, they phoned up and said, oh, we found somewhere, and they're coming out to you. 0344 499 1000, by the way. They're coming out to you, and they'll be with you by 2:45. And I thought, oh, actually, that's not bad going.
No, we were lucky.
That's not bad going. They then rocked up. So then we decided, let's walk down and get some food, because there'll be an hour, or so 45 minutes. But as soon as we got to the place, we got a phone call from the guy about 2:15 saying, I'm at your car. We thought, this is a result. Absolute result. So we dashed back, and there he was. And he said, I can do the 2 tyres. 75 quid a tyre, 150 quid. It took me 20 minutes. Hey, beautiful, fine. So we sat in my car and listened to Amateur Hour. And then 20 minutes later, he said, right, we're done. And so I paid 150 quid. So it's 205 quid it's cost me. And
did you see that I paid you back that same night?
You paid me back for one of the tyres, yeah. So...
well, it turns out only one of them worked.
£205 minus 75 is what I paid.
It's very pressing.
What I paid for your incompetence. So then we like, well, let's drive down to the restaurant, because it's like 2 traffic lights away.
And it was cold.
It was freezing. So we drove down, and then we parked up, and your car was making a funny noise as you were reversing. And I looked.
What was the noise?
And I looked at your front tyre and I said, that tyre's flat. And you came out and you went, no. And I said, I think it's not completely flat, but it wasn't
low, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, and I said, right, straighten up the wheels, because sometimes, as I've found before, if you've got the steering wheel turned, straighten up the wheels. And I'm going around all the tyres with the torch on my phone. And boy, oh boy, what did we do? I remember years ago I bought a phone, because I needed a phone in an emergency. This is before we had torches on phones, and so it was like an old phone. So it's like this. Right.
I know what a phone looks like.
And the end of it was a torch. Oh. Like it was an actual proper.
Wow, really?
What the Americans would call a flashlight. Not a fleshlight.
No, that's
you know
different.
what that is?
I do.
Why would you? I mean, what's wrong with your hand?
Also, you won't be able to see your iPad anymore, will you?
Well, no, because the way it works is you'd have your computer screen there, and you'd be looking at a POV, and you'd have that. But 75 quid.
And also, you're never going to get that properly clean, are you?
No. That is going to, anyway, we're going off on a flashlight tangent. So I'm going, and I was doing that thing where you kick it. I don't know what you're kicking it for.
I was really impressed by that. I thought you were doing
I don't know what that's for.
I thought you were doing a thing.
I know that if you kind of stand on it and it's really flat, it will wobble, but it wasn't really wobbling. I thought, but it looked a bit... So I phoned the guy up and I said, we've just left you. Could you just come and check the tyre? Because it just looks a bit flat to me. And already I'm thinking, I'm being a stupid...
No, I was thinking he knows what he's talking about. Stand back, Kath.
No. So the guy rocks up.
Let him do the man thing.
And he gets out a little thing that measures the air pressure. And he said, right, it should be 31. I heard that, but I'm ignoring it. He said it should be... He goes, yeah, it's 31. And I went, oh... I said, do you not think it looks a bit flat? He said, well, what? Yes, it does. It looks a little bit flat. But what did he say?
This is beautiful. He said, sometimes when they're new, they look flat, but it's just till you wear them in.
Yeah, he basically was saying that some new tyres don't look round until you've driven on them for a bit.
And then somehow bounces
Then
up.
they rounden out.
It's a bit like when you get your hair cut, it can look a bit small, and then you wash it yourself.
Oof. And I trusted him. I thought, all right, fair play. And we shook his hand, and then we went and ate, and then we...
I called him a lifesaver.
Yeah, I know. We were really nice to him. And then we ate, and I was tired. I was very, very tired, falling asleep at the table. So we got in our cars, said goodnight. Off you went, off I went. And I got home at 4:00 in the morning, right? I slept... for 13 and a half hours.
Now, I would have. But driving home
for Christmas.
My dashboard computer said front right tyre is low. So I thought, oh, blimey, I'm up tomorrow. I'm supposed to be going to the synagogue for the first time to see my friend having her baby blessed. Yeah. So me and Little 'un, early doors... all getting all dolled up. I did her hair and everything, made sure she was washed, which I never obviously normally bother with on a weekend. Put her in the back of the car, present on her knee. She was so excited about going to the synagogue. And I said, right, before we go, I'm going to have to go and pump these tyres up because I'm a bit worried about the front right one, which again looked a bit low, but not flat. Yeah. By the time I got to the garage, which was about a mile down the road, completely flat,
gone.
Like the one that had been replaced, like I'd ragged it.
Yeah, completely gone. So when I woke up 13 and a half hours later, 5:30 in the evening, it was dark again. I'd only taken half a pill to knock me out. I'm trying to cut down on the pills a bit, see if it affects my weight. And it was 13 and a half hours of the worst nightmares. Joe, I will come to you in a minute, I promise. I'll see you. The worst anxiety dreams. Awful. It's all about packing. It's all about packing and having too much stuff. And so then I saw that picture. I was like, right, I'm having this. So I phoned up the tyre people and said, right, my mate, rubbish tyre, I want a refund for that tyre, please.
She could have been killed.
Yeah, I want a refund for that. So he said, whoa. You saying the tyre was flat when he fitted it? I said, yes. Well, she couldn't have driven it home then. I said, well, yeah, I don't mean completely flat. When you say flat, you don't mean completely flat. He said, right, OK, where does she live? And I said, and he said, well, she'd need to bring the car to us and we can look at the tyre. And I said, no. You don't understand, my friend. You're going to give me the money for this. And it started getting a bit tense.
Did you have a man off?
A bit, and I realised I was about to lose my temper with him. So I stopped and I went, I'll get her to phone you. Mm-hmm. And then you phoned him and he said he'd sort it out.
Totally girled him.
Yeah.
Because in between times, I'd taken my car over the road to the tyre place in my town, where he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And not only did he have a look at the tyre for me and write on the invoice exactly what had gone on with it, he also told me which photographs to take to show that certain bits of work had not been done. He'd not balanced the tyres. Did he charge you for balancing the tyres?
No, he didn't. No, no, it was just 75 quid a wheel.
Right. So he should have balanced the tyres and he should have sealed them. And the guy at the tyre place did this little video for me where he poured liquid on and you could see all bubbling up. He said, look, you'd had it. You were lucky to get home. So I confronted him with that evidence and I've sent him, I said I've got it in an email.
Well,
and he said, OK, it sounds like it's our fault. I'm really sorry.
Then I've sent him an email. I've not had anything back.
Well, listen, this is where I come in handy.
OK.
Because I used to be a consumer journalist.
Yes.
Your contract isn't with him, it's with the AA. The AA should sort it out.
I'm bored now. I'm bored.
AA. Have a word with them.
Thanks very much.
Across the UK, online and on DAB.
Late night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Who's this, Neil Page? Who is this? Iain and his pal Kath have blocked me, so can't comment at Talk Radio. Just not worth it. Losing listeners when you block people. Neil, I have no idea who you are. Obviously you're still listening, and if we lose idiots as listeners, well, then that can only be a good thing. You want to be listening mid-mornings, OK? Joe!
Finally.
Sorry?
Finally, I said.
Well, you know I'm hovering over the dump button in me right now.
Oh, no, it was a riveting story, to be fair. I did enjoy...
He's gone.
Oh, God, what a waste.
Well, I mean, I'm not... Come on. With an attitude. Jesus. What is this? What... Flippin' heck.
I think we've had an hour of niceness with Tony Robinson, so we've got to have a little bit of snide back.
Thanks, Joe, for calling. It's appreciated. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number if you want to give us a call. Lots of people upset. Lots of people. Piers Morgan's upset that the lady from the Gogglebox has won I'm a Celebrity.
Okay.
He's furious about it. I'm upset that Piers Morgan is breathing. Do you know what I mean? I'm upset that Piers Morgan has a television job.
There's some stuff going on, Piers. I don't know if you noticed, but, you know, as someone who was a proper journalist at some point, maybe you should stop getting on at mid-20s girls.
Well, Piers, he doesn't like to question where photographs come from, guys. Why would he want to question where photographs come from? Why would he want to do that? Instead, he'll just have a pop at some young girl that's won a silly show, that is absolutely meaningless. But you keep on sticking your tongue up Donald Trump's backside, Morgan. Yeah? You see where that gets us, for crying out loud. I mean, I don't know who she is, but well done her.
You do know who she is. She's from Gogglebox.
Well,
she's like the Geordie one.
I don't know.
You watched a couple.
I don't get the Gogglebox. I do get it. I do get why it's so popular and why people like it. It's just not my cup of tea. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the thing. It's just not my cup of tea, really. But I can understand. But it's just an advert for other TV programmes.
Yeah. It's a pick of the week, and they're excellent programmes.
That's all good.
7 days of Talk Radio.
That's all good.
Sunday afternoons.
Is that still going?
Yeah. Only just. But it's still there. Clinging on.
I've not looked at any of the newspapers today, so I've got no idea what is going on. There's a policeman who keeps having a little sleep. Busted. The cop who keeps taking a nap while on duty. Let's read this, shall we? This should be good. It's a police support officer has been caught repeatedly snoozing on duty. The hapless crime fighter, has also been spotted texting and making calls from his personal mobile phone. In a string of snaps and videos, the Met Police, PCSO, is seen napping in cafes and other public places.
Who is following this guy around?
0344 499 1000, by the way. One clip So, well, it must be people must just... Must be, is it
stop?
one person or is it a significant number of people? Let's find out. One clip shows him sleeping on a bus and failing to stir from his slumber when his radio goes off. Oh. But residents in Harrow, northwest London, have grown tired of his antics. Poor sod.
They're not the only one who's tired.
And have questioned whether taxpayers' money is being well spent on the officer. One said, all he seems to do is yap on his phone or get some kip in. I could understand it if he was on a break in the station, but he does it on buses and even in my mate's canteen. He has no shame. He's supposed to be looking out for us. It's nice to know my taxes are being well spent.
I've just seen the pictures.
He is. I mean, he is
well
out
away,
of it. He is Sparko.
Gosh.
Another said, he's just like Chief Wiggum from The Simpsons, always falling asleep with no idea what's going on around him. Met Police PCSO's basic pay is between 22 and 24 grand. Met Police said, oh, poor lad. And isn't it one of the greatest things in the world? That moment where it happens obviously at school and college, but it happens at work where you're tired, right? But you think, I'm just going to close my eyes, but I'm listening. I'm listening. I wonder what it would feel like to be a fish. Oh, and then the head goes. The head goes. Just that thing where it goes. Oh.
At university, I used to do a lot of deep reading, where I'd have the book there on the desk. So it would be a lecture, I'd have the book open. And I'd do this thing where you sort of cradle your head in your hands like that.
Yeah.
I'd get away with it until the moment where my hands would give way and I'd end up nutting the book.
That moment of release where your head just either falls off your hands or it just... That moment of release, and it can only be... Well, hang on a minute, let me time it. So tell me when to go.
Go.
What? Say it louder.
Go.
That's like less than a second.
But it feels like you've fallen about a metre and you've probably only done a couple of inches.
And also, you really... I go to some gentlemen's meetings from time to time, and they can be quite dry affairs. So I've done that before. And also, you think that everybody is looking at you, and quite often they're not. Quite often, no one's aware of you, and you think, "Oh, that was close." Right, I'm really going to stay awake now. Staying awake, but I am resting my eyes, but I am awake, and I'm listening. Just having gills, though. What would... Oh, and you're away again.
But then some people make a noise, don't they?
Yeah.
That moment. It might be a... Or, more likely, with that moment of release that you mentioned.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that noise. Do like that noise.
Busted.
Busted, man. Busted. 0344... 499 1000. This is Talk Radio. I'm Iain.
The wild man of late night radio is back.
Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
There's and then I slept again. Last night I slept for about another 14 hours. What is going on? I don't know what's going on. I think it is. I felt really rough all weekend. Actually, it was a tough old weekend. It was a tough week last week, but we made the last 2 or 3 shows of the week very upbeat because some people were upset that the show was a bit miserable. So we made it upbeat, and that was fine. And we did that, and it was great. They're excellent shows, by the way, guys. I just thought there was a bit in that Tony Robinson thing, Ed. If you can get 2 minutes of him talking about his not getting an erection, put that out as a SoundCloud, dude. Put that. It was about 20 past, because I remember looking at it and thinking, "Oh, that would be a good SoundCloud." I must tell.
It's like one of the first anecdotes you managed to get out of
it. It was about 15 minutes, 20 past. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Kath, and you know, I'm always reading books, and quite often they're for guests or just because I like reading. But I would just come in and read passages from that Tony Robinson book.
It's been a really boring week for me. Apart from, I would get read along and Iain every now and again. You go, oh, listen to this, Kath.
But what was great was when Tony came in. He came in about 9:30, and so I was getting him to tell the sweary stories that he couldn't tell on the air. The Brian Blessed one. But he would. Pass me the book. I'll read the Brian Blessed bit.
I don't have it.
I go.
Here it is.
Yes, this is the Brian Blessed bit. Because he's worked with everybody, and it's funny the names are Bob, Julia Donaldson. Because I thought, we. Although I would suggest that Alex Scheffler is the brains.
Axel Scheffler.
Den. I watched.
I've got signed books by her because she came into work once.
I watched a film with Eddie Murphy in today.
Did you? What for? Fun. What was it?
Well, here's the thing. Have you ever seen Bowfinger?
No.
Eddie Murphy and Steve Martin, two of my least favourite people. Oh, it's funny.
No.
Bowfinger is very, very funny. Bowfinger is. Do you know what? I might have to watch Bowfinger tomorrow. Bowfinger is hilarious.
Right. I remember it being on the cinema. That shows how old I am.
Hang on, dear listener. I'm not... 0344 499 1000. Can someone phone up and concur with me that Bowfinger is actually one of the funniest films? And I don't really like either of those gentlemen. I like the idea of Steve Martin.
I quite like Steve Martin.
I just don't think his films are that funny. But, where's the Brian Blessed bit? But Bowfinger is absolutely... laugh out loud, hilarious. Hang on a minute. It's past it because Simon D. I didn't mention the Simon D bit. Hang on. Oh, dearie me. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. I don't know where it is. Anyway, but Brian Blessed would come up to him, bumped into him in a shopping centre in Shepherd's Bush, and grabbed him from behind, put him in a headlock, and went, "Officers, arrest this man! He likes to old women!"
And Tony said that because it was Brian Blessed, you wouldn't get the disapproval, because he said a quite strong sexual swear
Yeah,
word
the F word!
And he said, normally that would create outrage in a packed shopping precinct in mixed company, but apparently even in the old days were loving it, because it was Brian Blessed.
People would love it. People would absolutely love it.
I love Brian Blessed because he's just an outright liar. Every single time he does an interview, he comes out with some other outrageous claim.
Oh, he delivered a baby and chewed the umbilical cord.
Bit it off and then licked the baby clean.
Let's get Brian Blessed on the show.
Let's see if we can.
Let's ask Brian to come on the show. That would be lovely. How nice of Tony to come in for an hour as well, and because not many people want to come in, rightfully so. Why would they?
I said you can come. We can do it on the phone. You're welcome to come in if you want to. Not for a second imagining he want to come in at 10 o'clock at night.
Michael has said, "Kath, that dodgy tyre geezer. Do you want me to go round and torch his workplace? As it's nearly Christmas and as it's you, I'll do it free of charge."
Wow, thanks, Michael.
We'll
go through the usual avenues first.
Yeah.
But thanks, Michael. See, that's gentlemanly.
I watched some really... so I watched... what was the Eddie Murphy? Eddie Murphy and Ben Stiller. I love Ben Stiller. Mm-hmm. Even in his rubbish films, and he's made some rubbish films, I find Ben Stiller just incredibly watchable. Also because I'm trying to work out if he's going bald. He does a little bit of hair magic. I'm sure Ben Stiller is doing a little bit of hair magic. I think that's what's going on. But I watched a film called Tower Heist.
Right.
It's a good cast.
Tower Heist?
Tower Heist.
Right, what's that
it's
about?
It's like an old-fashioned caper. Good cast. Ben Stiller and Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Alda.
Oh.
Matthew Broderick.
What?
Yeah, chubby Matthew Broderick. Chubby, old Matthew Broderick. And some other people I hadn't heard of. And it's good. It's a good old-fashioned caper. Workers are wronged by a multi-billionaire guy, so they plot revenge to go and rob his penthouse apartment. It was brilliant.
And how does that work out? But don't spoil it.
And it was... Eddie Murphy was very funny, but a little... Here's the thing, right? Eddie Murphy is funniest when he's being homophobic.
Really?
Yeah, because if you watch Raw...
Oh, I used to love Raw.
Yeah. You couldn't watch it now. It's on Netflix. You can. It's all about faggots.
Oh, well, I just remember it being about women, and he would do all the jokes, and he would do like the accents about being with African women and stuff like that.
It's all about faggots. There's a bit about putting a faggot on top of a police car, and it's all about.
Don't remember that.
All of it. That and Dangerous, I think, was the other one.
Yeah.
Right. It's all about that.
Me and my mate Ben used to watch that on repeat.
Yeah. Well, I suggest you go and watch it with your new woman's eyes.
Someone less homophobic.
And then there's a bit in this film where I was laughing. I thought, oh yeah, but he's being homophobic.
Was he doing a thing? Was he doing a voice and like the walk and stuff?
No. I mean, he plays a very funny character in it, but the bit was very homophobic. It's about lesbians' breasts and stuff. But it was making me laugh. So what does that say about me? Am I a homophobe?
Yeah, but
Probably.
a lot of times laughter, though, is about being shocked by something, isn't it?
Yeah, okay, I was shocked. That was it. I was shocked. I didn't find it funny. I was shocked. I didn't find what he had to say at all funny. I was just shocked by it. That's why I was laughing.
Okay.
But so I watched that, and it was good. It was good old movie. Alan Alda, brilliant. Stiller, brilliant. The other cast, yeah, so. The lady, FBI agent.
Well, she doesn't deserve a name, does she?
Huh?
After you've just made out your all-new man and you've seen through Eddie Murphy.
Well, I'd never seen her before, and I know why I've never seen her before.
Let's take the trouble to find out who this woman is whose work you've been admiring. What's this thing called? Tower Heist?
She was the weak link.
Oh, really?
But I know why I've never seen her in a movie before, and I'm surprised I saw her in this movie. Her front teeth were...
missing?
They were there. I mean, they were really there.
Not Tia Leone. She's been in loads of stuff.
Tia Leone. Yeah, she was in it.
Is this the owner of the teeth?
That's a blonde lady. She had dark hair.
She might have dyed it for the part, just to warn you.
Find a picture of Tia Leone's teeth.
They're tricky, these actresses.
Find a picture of Tia Leone's teeth. 0344 499 1000. Although I'm guessing no one's going to call in, so, fine by me, guys. We'll take a break while you're doing that.
Unmissable late night radio with the original king of unconventional conversation.
Make contact with Iain Lee.
Late night Iain Lee on Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.
Chosen. I don't know if you saw this, Edward. This show is one of, according to The Observer, celebrating its 225th year. Happy birthday. This show is one of the top 10 radio highlights of 2016, along with James O'Brien and The Archers.
And My Dad Wrote a Porno.
OK, we'll talk about that in a minute, Kath. Let's just talk about...
God.
I can't actually see what it says, but it says... Hang on a minute. How do I get... I want to go... Hang on a minute. I've put it on my Twitter header. Why the hell not?
Enjoy it. There's no mention of me on there, but that's cool.
No.
It's not about me. It's not about egos.
No, I can't... Yeah, I can see the word inventive.
I've got it here if you want it.
Yeah, I do actually, yeah.
Just in case.
Up there with Grace Dent.
I might not have it.
The Archers trial. And the Bugle podcast. You're listening to the Bugle podcast, guys. So, luckily, what that means is now that we are the top 10 of 2016, we can take the foot off the gas
Totes.
a little bit and deliver poor shows.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that. Sorry, your sofa's been lost at sea. Oh. A sofa firm has been savaged by Christmas customers. Yeah?
Iain Lee,
yes.
Talk Radio. Lee hosts the funniest, most inventive, most touching...
Whoa, slow it down, because there's a lot of most there. And what most means...
Best.
No. Well, it means more than that, I think. Most. Let me just type in the word most. Let's just see what the definition... Most, greatest.
Yeah.
Greatest in amount or degree... to the greatest extent. So you could just for those who are struggling to understand, take the word most. How many mosts are in there?
2.
Say that. No, there were 3.
No, funniest. You can't say most funniest.
Take most out and put greatest, and before funniest, put greatest as well. Just see if it works.
All right. Okay,
Just
let's
see
do
if
that.
it works. Thank you.
Iain Lee, Talk Radio. Lee hosts the greatest funniest, greatest inventive, greatest touching late night phone-ins out there. It's greatest.
Could you put greatest before late night phone-ins?
Okay.
Let's just see if that works.
What, before or after touching? Are we going to get rid of touching?
Touching is it? No, touching is integral.
Okay. Just asking.
Put after touching, comma, which is integral.
Oh,
Come
no.
on.
Okay. Iain Lee, Talk Radio. You ready? Can you just make sure your hands are above the desk?
Oh, come on. This is a very important moment for me. After years after getting shafted last year by the British Broadcasting Corporation, the British Bell End Corporation.
Although, well, you quite like Radio 4 Extra and that, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I think they're brilliant. Apart from when they're shafting me. To get vindication from the Observer is it? So read it with the embellishments I made. Let's see.
I mean, you might want to write these notes and send them to Miranda Sawyer because obviously she's dropped the ball here.
It's okay.
Iain Lee, Talk Radio.
Yeah.
Lee hosts the greatest funniest, greatest inventive, greatest touching, which is integral.
Carry on. There's more. There's more. Carry on.
Greatest.
Are you crying?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Greatest. I gave up a job at the BBC for this. Greatest late night phone-ins out there.
You just need something extra.
Yeah, a bit extra.
At the end.
He's the greatest. Greatest.
He's the greatest of all time?
Better than James O'Brien.
Well, no, because it's 2016. I like the better than James O'Brien, but it's late night. It's very specific. Greatest was just give me the last bit again.
Which one? The one we made up or the actual one?
The new
the revised
version.
edition.
Yeah.
Which bit?
The greatest late night phone-in.
No. Greatest touching, which is
integral.
Greatest late night phone-ins out there.
Okay, we can do a joke at the end. No, we can do a joke here. At the great night phone-ins.
Do you think a joke's appropriate after touching?
Yeah. Otherwise they cry.
Okay. Bring it back up.
Great night phone-ins out there.
Great night. Great late night.
Okay, whatever. I'm just jamming here. I'm jazzing. No, I'm in a jazz band. Greatest late night phone-ins out there, and boy, is it ever out there.
Good.
Give me that. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let me get some music. This is what we need. If people aren't going to phone in, then we're going to torture them.
You can make this stop by calling 03444991000 whenever you want.
Hang on a minute. Let me just find some appropriate music. I want some music. My name is.
No, don't do
my name is Marlon Brando.
Don't talk about Marlon Brando after this weekend.
No, I know. There's been a bit of controversy about a movie I made in the 70s. I'm not talking about playing Superman's dad. I'm talking about the brother scene. Anyway, my name is Marlon Brando. I'm dead. That's not bad, and I didn't even know I could do that. Okay, let's. Away you go. Give it what you got.
Okay. Iain Lee, Talk Radio. Lee hosts the greatest, funniest, greatest inventive, greatest touching, which is integral, greatest late night phone-ins out there. And boy, is he out there.
Yeah, I like that. I like greatest, funniest. I think that's we can we just take greatest, funniest and get that put on a poster in speech marks. So greatest, funniest, The Observer.
Miranda Sawyer.
I wouldn't even bother putting a name in. That would just confuse things. Because people might go, hang on, wasn't she on the show? No. So I think, no.
Didn't I make her a cup of tea? That's what's
Mark Kermode.
What?
Put Mark Kermode.
I didn't know Kermode used his ears. I thought it was mostly eye work he did.
I don't like that tone. I will ignore it. Put greatest, funniest, Mark Kermode, greatest, funniest of 2016. Okay. It's in speech marks.
Wait a minute.
underneath Mark Commode, The Observer.
Right. Can I do a picture of you to put... Let's do it now.
What for?
For the poster.
Can you not get a silhouette of a Native American on a mountain?
Okay.
Can you do that?
Is that okay?
Yes! Oh,
Is that
honestly,
not cultural appropriation?
if the Native Americans, and I won't call them Red Indians, certainly not when there's a microphone in front of me.
No.
If the Native Americans had DAB technology...
Some do.
Well, then I would be up there with them.
No, don't do the impression.
A sofa firm has been savage. Let me know that meme is up.
What is it again? Greatest ever? What is the thing?
Greatest, funniest of 2016, in speech marks, Mark Commode, The Observer.
Right, I'll sort it out. Greatest, funniest of 2016. Greatest, funniest of 2016.
A sofa firm has been savaged by Christmas customers over delivery delays, claiming orders were lost at sea. Fed-up families claim it is only one of a series of daft excuses by Harvey's Furniture. When we were getting a window fitted, and we were getting Polish workmen to do the entire house, and people got, we should be getting English people to do the entire house. So we got some English people to do bits of the house, and they were bloody awful, including this window fitter who came and measured a window. He said, you'll have it in 2 weeks, right? 4 weeks later, it hadn't turned up. And I thought, I'm going to chase this guy up. Because the window's been taken out, we've now got a hole in the wall. And first thing he said was, my van was stolen with the window in it. So,
What?
I'm going to make you, don't worry, I'm not going to charge you for extra. I'm going to make you another one. You'll have it in 2 weeks. All right, fine. 2 weeks later, phoned up.
Was he making it? Was he glass blowing?
2 weeks later, phoned up. Yeah, my mum's just been diagnosed with cancer. Right. Okay. I hate to sound cold. The window's 4 weeks late, and we're kind of waiting on it. Any idea? I just told you, my mum is dying of cancer. How dare you? Like that.
Wow.
Then there was a pause. I went, right. What cancer has she got? What?
It's a reasonable question.
What cancer is she? None of my business, of course. But at this point, I knew he was lying. I said, what? Cancer of the what? Don't need to tell you that. I said, no, you don't. And then I got really angry. I think you're lying. I think you're... and that is a tough punt to take. That is a big gamble to call out someone who's told you their mum's dying of cancer. That is a big gamble to take. But I stand...
balls of steel.
I stand by that. I stand by that because I do think... someone's tweeting Steve Martin. Don't tweet him. I do think that he was talking out of his arse. Joanne Alsop, 33, of Barnsley, South Yorkshire, expected to have £1,500 sofa to be... We finally got the window 2 months late, and it was too small, but we decided we would we'd just work around that. When we told him it was too small, he said, no, it isn't. And I thought, stick it up your backside. Expected a £1,500 sofa to be delivered 2 weeks ago. She said their customer services told me it was on a boat stranded at sea. Tracy Tuff ordered 2 sofas and a recliner chair, but said on social media, they delivered 1 sofa, a chair, and half a sofa.
What?
These are made-up names. Tracy Tuff and Lynn Ainscow posted a picture of her mum sitting in a camping chair and said, me mum has dementia and nothing to sit on, as her £2,000 sofa hasn't arrived. And Luke Sadler added, finally got our sofa 5 weeks late. Harvey's apologised and asked the angry customers to contact them.
I mean, when you need a sofa, you need a sofa. It's not something you should be messing about with.
Yeah. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. You seem to have forsaken us, dear callers. And that's what have you done it? Have you done the meme?
Well, I'm looking for the right Native American picture, but some of them, well, let's just say that they're very inventive.
I don't want an inventive one. This one thing this show cannot be accused with is inventive. Well, CJ Jester's done one. Delete your account, CJ Jester. You spelt commode wrong.
You
delete your account. And I clearly said I wanted the back of the Native American, not the side. Delete your account. I don't, and unfollow me immediately. I don't really want to encourage that sort of shenanigans.
And thanks very much for trying to usurp me.
Yeah, no, I'm not having that, mate. That is bang out of order. That is bang out of order. That is outrageous.
Rear view.
Here we go. There we go. I've got nothing to talk about. Here's the next hour sewn up. Man with a bionic willy is in demand.
Wow.
I bet he is.
Well.
A man with a £70,000 bionic penis. We have the technology. Can you look through the eye and... No, that was...
What, the bionic man?
Says he is... Because you could do that with the bionic man toy, couldn't you?
Well, look through the back of his head.
Says he has been flooded with offers of sex from women. Mohammed Abad, 44, finally lost his virginity in March after a childhood road accident cost him his manhood.
Oh, yes, he had it pulled off, didn't he?
I cannot believe you are making...
No, he did. He had it trapped and it got pulled off.
I cannot believe you are taking cheap shots...
I'm not.
...at Mohammed Abad.
I'm not. But I know he had loads of offers from pros and he said he don't want it like that.
He had life-changing surgery in 2012 when docs used skin and nerves from his arm to create his new penis. He claims he's had 50 messages from women desperate to test his prosthetic privates. Gosh. The Edinburgh security guard said, and I'm not going to do the voice, I can't do a Scottish accent, said, I'm from Scotland.
No.
He get a lot of messages from women online who ask me if I will have sex with them. They're all very intrigued and think I can make love for hours. But I work 14-hour shifts every day, and by the time I get home, I'm just too tired for sex.
Why did he turn into Roger Moore? Ironically.
I'm Roger Moore. Can you set your bionic willy?
I haven't got one.
To wake me up in the morning. Because mine's knackered. Oh, come on, guys. Phone up for crying out loud.
03444991000.
Here's the telephone.
We've already gone to Bionic Willy. There's not an awful lot more we can do.
I'm teasing. You don't have to. I'm quite happy to sit here and talk a load of old...
Oh.
A load of old tosh. If you want to be part of it, you're more than welcome to. 0344 499 1000. You can watch us, periscope.tv/Iain Lee, IAINLEE. If you want to send an email, if you go to the Talk Radio website, talkradio.co.uk. Late Nights with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Late Night, Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Nobody can see us. It's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us. 'Cause it's a you and me house. Been climbing rocks and stones, been collecting broken bones. I've been swimming across the lakes just to find this perfect place. I got lost into the woods. I've been covered up in mud. I've been going through a lot just to find this perfect spot. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us. It's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have rocks and stones, been collecting broken bones. I've been swimming across the lakes just to find this perfect place. I got lost into the woods. I've been covered up in mud. I've been going through a lot just to find this perfect spot. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us. It's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us. 'Cause it's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us. 'Cause it's a you and me house. A tree house, nobody can see us, 'cause it's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us, 'cause it's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us, 'cause it's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us, 'cause it's a you and me house. I have built a tree house. I have built a tree house. Nobody can see us, 'cause it's a you and me house.
Evening, dear listener. Iain Lee, Talk Radio. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Bruce!
Hip, hip, hip.
What kind of cake?
Either London Cheesecake or the alternative rock band from the 90s.
Oh, yes. What did Cake sing?
The Distance.
Oh, I don't know that. I'm thinking of Belly. I'm thinking of Feed the Tree by Belly.
You will know it though. It's one of those songs that if you hear, you'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I know that song.
Oh, okay, yeah, I know that song. Yeah.
Of course you do, yeah.
What you got for us, Bruce?
Well, nothing really. It's just I was sitting there, and there's only certain times that I'll call the show, and if I hear a particular buzzword, a bit like bingo, and mechanical penis was it. So I thought it's time to call in.
Oh, flipping heck, go on then.
Yeah, no, I just thought I'd check in, see how everyone was doing.
If you could get a bionic part of your body, what would you go for? I think I'd go for the eyes. Bionic eyes. Because my eyes are going a little bit as I'm getting older. You know, they used to be spot on. I used to have 30-30 vision.
Is that better than 2020?
Well, yeah, because it's 10 and 10. It's 20 better than 2020.
It's greatest better. What difference would that make?
Well, because 2020 means you can see something 20 feet away.
Right.
I don't know what the first 20 is.
I can see about 2 feet away.
Okay, well, you're like... But 20 means, like, you can see sort of like the bottom line from 20 feet. Well, I could see an even bottomer line from 30 feet. I think that's what that means. And yeah, go on, Bruce.
Distance in front of you, or is that distance...
Well, it's not behind me, mate, is it?
No, I was like thinking if maybe you were standing above a pit and looking down.
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, they don't... Just think, Bruce, have you ever had your eyes tested by a professional optician?
Not for a long time.
Right, well, it's not changed that much, apart from now they blow in your eyes.
With a machine, normally.
With a machine.
Not their mouths.
But did they have pits in your opticians back in the day?
Not in my...
No. They still don't, Bruce. That's not an innovation they've made where they now dig pits in the optician shop.
What about in like northern mining towns?
Well...
Again, not in opticians' shops.
Yes, not in the shops, but what all those mines closed down.
Yeah.
What do you do with those closed down mines?
We go and look down them.
Well, it's just a suggestion.
Is that a threat?
It's definitely not a threat.
Okay. What would
You've
you
been down a hole lately. Did you have any eye tests while you were there?
It was over a year ago.
I mean,
We're
more lately
we're
than I
going
have.
again. We're going again.
Oh, God.
Everything's shut until February because they're all pussies that run the underground caving group.
Or because they're flooded.
Well, me and my Paul.
You and your Paul?
Me and my friend Paul. We want to go and do. We went caving over a year ago, and I want to go again. And I said and he said, Paul checked on. He said, they're all shut until February. I said, lightweights. Let's just go anyway, me and you, because you can do that. All you can do is you get the equipment and you go down a hole.
Find a hole.
Yeah, beautiful. Go down it. We're going to do it, but probably it won't be until February. But it doesn't really matter what time of year you go.
Well,
because
you want to go dry, don't you? Ish.
Mate, dry? Are you nuts? You're underground.
Yeah.
It's wet.
I know, but what I'm saying to you is, if it's dry upstairs, it'd be less wet down. And you don't want to be...
Is that a euphemism? Have you been washing your hair?
As long as you've got the right equipment, surely...
Is that a euphemism? Are you talking about your...
that definitely is.
No, if you go... You can't go when it's like torrential rain, because
because
they'll
it'll
flood.
all be underwater.
You'll flood and you'll die. Yeah, some people get trapped and die. But in terms of temperature... Once you get a little way in, it's like Hawaii. It's the same temperature all year round.
It's like a what?
Hawaii.
Oh, I thought you said Hawaii.
Except Hawaii is 82 degrees all year round.
Right.
And this is a lot colder than that. But it's the same temperature because it doesn't matter.
Don't really fancy any of
Hey,
this.
guess what I bought today? Thinking. Oh, I'm thinking. Guess what I bought, Bruce?
Any clues? Can we narrow it down to like a format? Or
it's red.
Oh gosh.
It's red. Ketchup.
No, you're a knob, Catherine.
An ice scraper.
A sledge.
All right.
Oh!
Well, you can take those bullets back because I already own a red sledge.
Well, now that I've got
With
one
runners.
now that I've got one in the boot of my car, I think we might already own a sledge. But now we've got two sledges. Oh, one for
each boys.
Yeah, one for each of the boys. Beautiful.
It's not going to snow now, is it?
No, well, I know, and I had that conversation with the woman in the shop. The shop I used to, used to be my local hardware store near where I grew up, and that guy has been running that store for, I moved there when I was 11. That was 32 years ago. He was running the store then. He looked like Terry Griffiths, the Welsh snooker player.
He must be tired.
Terry
I had
Griffiths.
a slave story, actually.
Yeah?
I had a green one. I think we got rid of it quite a long time ago. But in the Christmas of 1990, we had snow in the town I was living in at the time, which was Ilford, down in Essex.
Yeah.
And there was a hill. There was many hills there. There was a hill near a shopping centre that everyone went to go and do the sleighing. And I picked a particular spot. No one else was at the other end of the hill. I went down it for about an hour, just up and down, up and down. And when the snow all cleared, I noticed I've left a streak where there was now no grass.
Oh, well, that's all part of it. I mean,
it never grew back, though. That's the thing. 10 years later, I went and because I still lived there, and I walked past it, and it was still bare.
You left a lasting skid on the landscape.
Yeah.
Years ago, before we had the boys, it snowed really, really heavily one day, and me and my wife didn't have a sledge. And so we went to we went to Toys R Us, and of course all the sledges had been gone. Of course they've been gone. And we're looking around going, well, there's got to be something. And when you go sledging this is on Primrose, no, this is Hampstead Heath, you get people doing it in suitcases and stuff, whatever they can find.
Bit of lino.
So we're looking around.
Tray.
Tray. But we saw a giant, and I was earning quite good money at the time, right? We saw a giant sandpit, right? but the sandpit had a round, sort of, not quite round, but it had a plastic dome.
Yeah, like
cover
the tortoise ones.
to cover it. No, but it was big. It's this big.
Yeah.
And there's a plastic round dome cover. And I said to Toys R Us, right, can I buy that cover? They said, well, we're not selling it. We can't sell it separately. I said, well, I don't want the sandpit, but I want the cover. It was only like 25 quid or 30 quid or something. And so we bought the sandpit but left it there and just took the cover. And because it was round, it would spin as you went down, didn't have any direction. It was the fastest sledge on Hampstead Heath that day. The speeds were insane to the point where you'd knock people out of the way. If they got in the way, they'd go flying. And there was nothing they could do about it. And it was absolutely brilliant. And we did it for about 2 hours and then it cracked, which was great because we were knackered. It was like, we're done. It served its purpose. It's done.
Iain, I've got it. That's your idea for a children's book.
Oh.
That's where all the money is nowadays.
Hang on a minute. Just refresh my memory. What part of that story is going to be a children's book?
Oh, that whole story there. Going and buying a sandpit cover and taking it down a hill.
What's the moral of the story?
That you can have a lot of fun by only taking half of a sandpit. The moral can be worked on, but it's the bare bones of the story that's the key bit at the moment.
Bruce,
you can throw animals in there and all sorts.
Yeah, I'm Bruce. Okay, well,
He's onto something there.
I'll let him go and think about it a bit more. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. If you want to give us a call, it costs you pennies, may even be free. Ed will call you back. Rashid will come to you after this.
Late night conversation worth losing sleep over.
Iain Lee.
On air and off the leash.
On Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Oh, man, I'm so tired. Despite sleeping a lot this weekend, I've had I've had 29 hours of sleep. And that's not including... no, that's incorrect data. 14... No, it's correct data. And that's not including Saturday night sleep that was usual.
Gosh.
Usual.
But I did that the weekend. Was it the weekend before the weekend
I don't know.
That? I told you that I'd slept all day long and slept all night. I think there's some sort. Maybe we've been bitten by like the tsetse fly or something.
Now I
sleeping
can't
sickness.
stop yawning. Maybe I'm dying. Maybe this is.
Have you been to the doctor yet about your throat?
No. I'll give it another 6 months.
No.
But here's the thing, right? So I'm on these pills that make me put on a lot of weight, and that's fine because they're anti-anxiety. But then I'm getting anxious about being fat, and I've cut down from 30 milligrams to 15 to see if it helps with the weight stuff.
Could that be messing though?
What, with the sleep?
With everything?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
How
much they charge normally for an hour?
What?
You've just had 10 minutes with Dr. Kath. I've sorted it out.
But that wouldn't make me sleep more. Maybe it would. Maybe taking less of a drug that makes you sleep more. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I'm an artist.
It would seem counterintuitive.
But I cannot lose any piggin weight.
But I don't think you look as round in the face.
That's because I've brushed my beard.
Oh.
And I've had a little shave. I had a shave at the weekend for Sky News. It's Sky News with Iain Lee and Petri Hoskin. And I like Petri. I'm always pleased when it's Petri I get to do it with. There are others who I'm not so keen on. I tell you who's good at it's nice to do it. Nikki Chapman. Nikki Chapman. Oh, I like Nikki Chapman. She's good. She's good. She's funny. So is Petri. But no, I've not lost. Anyway, at most, I've lost £3.
Well, that's quite a lot.
No, is it? It's not at all.
Is that, you're weighing yourself at the same time every day?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So that is quite a lot.
Well, but I think I put it, that was on Friday. I was £3 less than I had been 2 weeks previously. But it feels, I haven't got access to the scales at the moment. It feels like I've put that weight back on again.
Oh, for God's sake. Right, so
sorry?
You're sensing it now, are you? You're sensing the weight gain?
Yeah. No, I am. Well, you can't. What a stupid thing to say. Yes, of course you can. Because my trousers feel tighter now than they did a couple of days ago.
Really?
And let's get into details. And I'm not wearing any pants.
Again?
Yes.
That's why they feel tighter, the chafing.
I forgot to take clean ones to the gym.
Oh, blimey, Iain.
And I've been wearing those pants since Saturday.
So you're sitting there less than a metre away from me with no pants on.
I've got trousers on.
I mean, where's the respect for James Whale? You're sitting in his chair.
James Whale, don't even talk to me about that idiot. For those who don't know, James Whale is back Mondays to Thursdays. If you were a fan of the 80s, then join in between 7 and 10 as he warms up the... That's probably why we got no phone calls tonight. He killed them all. Not literally. I'm not suggesting that James is a murderer, although... but he just sucked the life out of them. That might be what happened. But so I cannot... And I've been to the gym 4 times a week for the last 2 weeks. I looked at my times, and I've pretty impressive times that I've, logged in and logged out. Classes, and I cannot... And I'm not eating. I'm starving. I'm not that hungry, actually. I've got no appetite whatsoever.
Haven't you?
No.
That's new.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I'm just dying.
No, stop it.
Hang on a minute. There you go. No, I've got no appetite.
Right, whereas like a month ago, you couldn't stop eating. It was like living with Pac-Man.
Do you remember there's a Pac-Man cartoon?
Yes.
Do you remember what his nickname was in it?
No.
G-Packy.
No!
Yes.
Wow.
In the Pac-Man cartoon, and I say that only, I hope, if anyone is offended, I apologise. I say that only as an
illustration.
Highlight, as an illustration. Genuinely, if you're offended, I do apologise. But that was his nickname in the Pac-Man cartoon that was on in the 80s. Now, as kids, we found that hilarious.
Gosh.
Hilarious. Gee, man. Oh, dear. Told you I met the guy that invented Pac-Man. It's the only. I think it's the only thing he's ever done. I don't think he even did like the spin-offs, like Ms. Pac-Man and stuff.
But you wouldn't need to do anything else, would you? That's like scoring "All I Want for Christmas Is You" by Mariah Carey. First time you write something. What?
Incorrect data.
What?
You do it for the honour of good Japanese company. That's what you're doing it for. He didn't get a penny for it.
What?
It was a... What? Say what? He didn't get a penny for it. He might have got a bonus, but he didn't... It wasn't like he was some, whiz kid, independent thing. He was working for Namco, and he came up with the game as part of his job as a game designer. He went, yeah, nice one.
We'll have that.
Dorito. I can't remember what his name is. I doubt it sounds like Dorito, but it was something like that. Tamahito... or is that the guy that invented space? Anyway, and there it's like, yeah, nice one, we'll have that. Okay, off you go and find another one.
Wow.
And that was it.
Didn't the Tetris man make loads of money?
No!
What?
No! There's a book about Tetris. Tetris is the most fascinating backstory of all. No, but basically, he was a coder working for the Russian government. So the Russian government owned it in communist Russia in the 80s. And then Robert Maxwell thought he'd bought the rights to it, so he started selling it over here, and the Russian government went, whoa, Maxwell, you don't own that, we own that. It's a real complicated story. Loads of people thought they bought it, but none of them had the rights to it. And Alexei Pajitnov, I interviewed him, Alexei Pajitnov did not make a penny from it, and then he kind of, I think he kind of escaped to America, where he was given a job at Microsoft by Bill Gates, who paid him quite handsomely, partly because of his heritage, to make up for him not getting a penny out of Tetris.
Crikey.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's all happening. It's all happening on the inside. Rashid!
Yeah, Kath.
Yo.
What's happening, man?
Well, Rashid, you've got to start calling us on a better line.
I know. I can't help it.
Well, I'll tolerate it this time, but only because we've got no phone calls tonight. But if we have phone calls, Rashid, you'd get a rocket right up your jacksie. What you got for us, boss?
Iain, just a bit of advice about the gym. Just I was at my heaviest. I was about 106.
What does that mean? I don't know what that means.
106 kilos.
Yeah. What's that in stone?
It's about 15 stone.
Wow, that's nothing.
I know.
Yeah, but how tall are you?
I'm only short. But, and now I'm 86.
Again, I don't know what that means.
I've lost about 20 kilos.
Yeah, again, you're just saying you might as well just say I've lost 20 Fs or I've lost half the alphabet. It doesn't mean anything. What does that? Stone.
1.5 stone.
Thank you. And then he's gone. I mean,
You just came on to boast.
Dennis.
Good morning. Are you actually in the studio? I'm sure I heard this programme a fortnight ago.
Yeah, this is a recording, Dennis.
It's a recording, yes, it sounds like
Yeah,
it.
well, so as is this phone call. It's a recording.
No, it's not.
Do you not remember? We did this phone call 2 weeks ago, and it's being played out now.
And then you recorded it again, so what's gone wrong?
Exactly. So we played. What happened is we recorded this at the end of November, and now it's going to be played out early December.
So you did. Well,
it's probably going to get played out December the 5th. I would have thought, probably on the Monday.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so but make sure you're listening to it.
It's not gone wrong.
When you're listening, if you listen on December the 5th, it'll be about 12:30, something like that. If you're listening
now, you mean?
Yeah. Then could you phone in when you hear it?
I'm not wasting my phone calls on you when you're recording things all the time.
Okay, fine. Well, then in that case, then I don't have anything else to contribute.
Merry Christmas.
Up your bum.
That's a nice thing to say.
Are you tutting me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great grown-up man like you talking about bums.
You're doing it now.
The president who makes them farting now is Mr. Trump.
Oh, there we go. Satire.
Yes, Mr. Trump.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Trump.
I'm having a president that says that.
Imagine being. I've yet to see the Saturday Night Live sketch. Where who's in Saturday Night Live now?
Well, Alec Baldwin plays Trump, and he's amazing at it.
But he's the old guy, right? He's been around for years.
Yeah.
But then what is he doing in Saturday Night Live?
I've not seen this particular one that's caused the big.
But you're not listening to me.
Well,
what is he doing in Saturday Night Live? I thought it was supposed to be young and up and coming, thrusting comics, not old actors.
Well,
you might as well get David Niven in it. Or you might as well get Jan Michael Vincent in it. Do you know what I mean?
It's a cool thing to do now.
Well, no, I know, but please listen to the question.
Well, please say a question.
I thought Saturday Night Live, I know it's going to end with a question, was young, thrusting comics. What's an old actor in it? They might as well get Jan Michael Vincent in it.
Because it's cool to go on it now.
Oh, well, so
it doesn't matter how old you are.
What does that? It's always been cool to go on it, apart from the mid-'80s with Joe Piscopo. It's always been, as a reference for our 80s fans and American listeners. But just saying it's cool to go on it. Why
and they like to be different.
Why is Alec Baldwin on it?
Because he's good.
Dennis?
They're still waiting for some results for this Trump business.
What?
He's not actually president yet, is he?
Well, he's president-elect.
Yeah, well, erect, yes. And now tell me, why is the BBC all wearing poppies when it's a long time after Remembrance Day?
You can never...
You're all wearing
I remember every day, Dennis.
I just don't understand why they need poppies.
Because Respect doesn't have a sell-by date.
Well, they should do.
In fact, I find what you're saying actually
disrespectful.
Listen, matey, I was an ex-serviceman and nobody respects the dead more than I do.
Well, I just think that...
I was happy not being one of them, so...
Well, you being a coward had its benefits.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, that was when Nelson was a boy.
Yeah. Well, Dennis, always good to talk to you.
Good morning.
I look forward to this being played out on the 5th of December.
I shall be on the 5th of December like it is now, OK?
Thank you very much. Good night, God bless. Tutty bye. 0344 499 1000. Late Nights with Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
Uncut, after-hours conversation for the up-all-night generation. Late Night Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
0344 499 1000. This is your captain speaking. I'm not on the plane. Flippin' heck. The remote control passenger plane. Beautiful. Beautiful. For nervous flyers, the reassuring voice of a pilot can be enough to see them through a I don't like it when the pilots... I don't like it when the pilots stride through the airplane like they own it. They don't own it. And I would rather they were sat at the front...
With their hands
flying it.
on the... It's not a wheel, is it? Is it a joystick?
It's like isn't it like a PlayStation controller now?
Yeah.
I think. The co-pilot. I don't want to. I want the pilot piloting. The co-pilot can walk around like cock of the north, but I want the pilot to pilot the bloody
My
thing.
sister used to be cabin crew.
Yeah.
They go to sleep.
Who?
The captain.
You're joking.
They have a sleep.
That is outrageous. That is disgusting. Is it true that they do a dump in a little waste paper bin in the corner? Is that true?
I haven't heard that one.
Okay.
I'll ask.
Yeah, find out for me if you could, because I think that's what happens. I think because since 9/11, it's a security risk for a pilot to be in one of the...
It'd be very off-putting, wouldn't it? Like 15 hours with that.
Well, these things happen, but
Can't open a window.
You can't open. Well, because of 9/11, so many security things have changed. The shoe thing at the airport, is that because of Richard Reed? Remember Richard Reed, the shoe bomber? But how was his bomb constructed? What was it?
He was trying to light it, wasn't he?
Trying to light. Well, didn't
I imagine it had some sort of wick.
Oh no! Wasn't it covered? This is why you can't take fluids in, because wasn't it covered in an explosive fluid that kind of that dried on it, that solidified that? So that's why your shoes are taken off, and that's why you can't have more than 100 millilitres of juice in the thing. I think because of Richard Reed, who's now in prison in America.
I thought because they only look at your shoes if you've got like heels.
No, well, they only look at your shoes if you've got heels. But why are men taking their shoes off?
But not always. Sometimes it's
not
just
always.
The women.
Sometimes you don't even have to take your belts off. I love that. I always feel like I've got away with a freebie if I get to keep my belt and my shoes on at an airport. Then that's a good journey. For me.
Always feel like somehow security's not up to scratch, and it makes me feel less safe when men are keeping their belts on.
What would a belt be used for? A whip? You're not going to whip your way into the cockpit, are you?
Because you're going through a metal detector. That's why you take your belt off, you know.
Okay.
And you change. You're not going to flick it in someone's face.
Okay. I told you I once saw Clement Freud arguing because he wanted to take some nail scissors onto a plane. The pedo. 0344 499 1000 is the telephone number. Pablo!
Hip, hip, hip.
Hip, hip, hip.
How's it? You've got all my technical issues sorted.
Oh.
Doesn't sound like it.
I have my technical issues sorted.
Well, you still sound like you're in a box.
But what a box. Is that a bit better?
Well, let's carry on.
Let's get to the content of the phone call. Can I be honest, Pablo? Can I be honest?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Please do.
We've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 phone calls tonight. 5 phone calls, which is an absolutely awful state of affairs, right? Yeah. And all of them, yours is the 5th, so all of them, without exception, have been absolutely awful. I mean, really, really poor phone calls. Someone on Digital Spy said the phone calls are a reflection of the host. I don't think so. Because I have delivered a top-notch, #1, King of the Hill show this evening, and yet all of your phone calls, all 5 of them...
It's been more than 5.
No, there's not. There's been 5.
There's been 5 this hour. There's 2 the hour before and 1 the hour before that.
We've not had 5 this hour.
We have.
Who have we had this hour?
Well, I've just made a note and I've put 5.
We have not had 5 this hour. Right, we've had Caddick. Mm-hmm. We had that gobby bloke who I cut off immediately. Mm-hmm. We had Dennis.
No, after the bloke that got cut off, there was someone else.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember who that was. All right. Okay, so someone else. Then there was Dennis. Then there was Rashid. And there's Pablo. No, we didn't. There wasn't anyone else. Who was the other one else? There wasn't. God, we're doing a phone-in where we're arguing about how few phone calls we've had. Truth. Bloody hell. Pablo, what I'm saying is...
Pressure's on, mate.
The pressure is on. Have you seen Bowfinger?
I have, yes.
It's funny, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
The bit where he crosses the road.
Oh, with because that's the one where it's Eddie Murphy double.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eddie Murphy doubles up as his brother. It's very, very funny. It is honestly. I'm going to watch Bowfinger tomorrow, Pablo.
Knock yourself out.
I asked people on Twitter yesterday for a film to watch. Every film they gave me was utter crap.
Really?
They should all delete their accounts. Yeah. So, I watched a good film. I watched a good film at the weekend, right? Because I've got a lot of videos. Prisoners.
That's good.
Jake Gyllenhaal and the Wolverine. I can't remember the guy's name. Plays Wolverine. Wolverine's daughter goes missing. And so Jake Gyllenhaal is a copper. And do you know why he's a good actor, Pablo? Because he had two quirks as a copper, Gyllenhaal, and it's a soft G, like Jiff. He had two quirks. Shall I tell you what the quirks were?
Go on.
One is he wore a white shirt that always had the top button done up, even though he didn't wear a tie.
Like a mod.
And the other one was, watch me.
Oh.
He would do like a squinty blink. Right, when he was getting stressed, right? And I was watching the film and I was trying to do the squinty blink. I thought, oh, that's great, okay. But then I forgot to do it after a couple of minutes. And of course, a movie is made over months. So you have to remember every scene to get at least one squinty blink in. I thought that is proper acting. Two, because most actors will get, their character will have like one quirk. Some don't even have any quirks, right?
What?
Sorry?
I was going to say Peter Falk, surely, was the originator of the squinty blink.
Yeah, but
he didn't have a squinty. He didn't have a squinty blink.
Well, when it was I suppose it was just more of a hang dog expression.
Well, yeah. He had a glass eye. His gimmick was he had a glass eye.
One more question.
Sorry?
Just one more question.
Go on then.
Your wife, when she went missing, she had a picture of you in her top pocket.
Is this Chinese, Columbo? Your wife, when you went missing, a picture of you in top pocket.
Hugh Jackman, by the way.
Massive.
Huge Ackman.
And basically, Wolverine kidnaps the guy that he thinks has got his daughter. It's a squinty blink.
Paul Dano.
Paul Danan.
Oh, was that Paul Dano?
The guy from I Eat Your Milkshake. I can only do slightly Chinese.
It was Paul Dano. Paul Dano played a young Brian Wilson in the Brian Wilson film. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was. Did he die in the end, Paul Dano? No, he didn't die.
No. There was a couple of earlier foreshadowings which kind of...
Yeah, but he didn't die.
I don't think so, no.
No, well, you just said he died.
Oh, with the... No.
No, but the character didn't die.
I believe character and actor are alive and well.
Then what? He did say that he died, didn't he?
Didn't hear that bit.
Anyway, and Wolverine, he's torturing this poor... he's got learning difficulties as well.
Who? Wolverine?
Paul Dano.
Oh.
And he's torturing him. He is torturing him. I couldn't work out in the end, Pablo, if Paul Dano actually... He was connected to the kidnapping because it was his mum and dad that did the kidnappings.
He's complicit, yeah.
But he knew about it.
Well, I think it was basically he's been worked on for... He was originally a kidnapped child himself, wasn't he?
Well, yeah. But he was kidnapped child, but then he got reunited with his parents because they see a newspaper headline where it says Paul Dano is reunited with his parents after being missing for 25 years. But if he'd been reunited with his parents, that means he wouldn't have gone to prison, which means that he didn't know where the girls were.
Well, no, unless they deemed that he wasn't mentally culpable or mentally responsible for his actions, that he'd been controlled in some way.
Yeah.
What girls?
Precedent.
Where did the girls come from in this scenario?
The girls that got kidnapped. Anyway.
It was good, was it?
Bishy bashy boshy. Wolverine. It was good because you're questioning how far would you go to protect your family? How far would you go?
Surely, Ian, the point of the film is that torture never gets the results that you're after.
Excuse me? Because he tells him where to go, doesn't he?
Well, there's a lot of kind of red herrings and the like with this. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Oh, no, you're right. He doesn't tell him where to go. He works out where to go when they find the other girl, and she says, you were there, and he goes,
he goes back, and then he's hearing that noise. What's that noise?
Yeah, I know, I watched it at the weekend.
What
are you telling me for?
I'm just remembering it.
I saw it this weekend, it was brilliant.
You're triggering his
description
memories.
is vivid, it's kicking things into gear.
I'll kick you into gear in a minute, Pablo. In fact, I'm going to kick you into touch right now. 0344 499 1000.
Late Night Iain Lee on Talk Radio.
We have ways of making you talk.
Southerly or southeasterly 4 or 5, increasing 6 at times in south.
I didn't realise that was playing. I've listened to this. Here we go. It's just rebooting. It's the
4 or 5, decreasing 3 at times, becoming...
What's going on? BBC iPlayer is rubbish. Here we go. I've listened to this. This is great. Thomas Schaffenacker.
Isle of Man, easterly or southeasterly 4 or 5, increasing 6 at times, mainly in south. Fair, good.
Shipping forecast.
Loch Foyle to Carlingford Loch, southeast 4 or 5, increasing 6 at times. Fair, good. The Mull of Galloway to the Mull of Kintyre, including the Firth of Clyde and North Channel. Easterly or southeasterly 4 or 5, increasing 6 at times in North Channel. Yeah. Fair, good. Mull of Kintyre to Ardnamurchan Point, southerly or southeasterly 4 or 5.
Come on.
Increasing 6 at times. Fair, good. Ardnamurchan Point to Cape Wrath, southerly or southerly 4 or 5. Excuse me.
Do apologise. That was Thomas Schaffenacker. We'll just complete the inshore waters forecast.
He went to puke.
He
went
lad.
to puke. I wonder if anyone's got the recording of me when I did a show at WM and I puked. It was off mic, but I was in a terrible state. I had a migraine, and I was doing it from the show was in West Midlands, but sometimes I'd do them in Luton in that little booth
downstairs,
and it was really hot. And I'd started with a headache, and I thought, it's just a headache, I can get through the show. And then 10 minutes into the show, it became a migraine. I thought, oh, geez, I've got 3 hours. Okay. And this guy was talking, and he was being really boring. I don't know what he said, but I asked him a question, and I turned the microphone off and just heaved into a bin. And I had headphones on, and I couldn't really hear anything, and I heard him stop. And so I managed to stop puking, and I put my fader up, and I went, what happened next? I had no idea what he'd said before, so I didn't know if it... I just kind of, generally, if you're not listening, if you then go, what happened next, you'll get something. And then I carried on puking, and I messaged I stopped puking, and I messaged the producer in Birmingham and said, I'm dying. Did right, I'm dying. I can't do this. And luckily Adrian Goldberg was in the building, and they played a record, and he came and... stood in. It was awful. And then to get
stripped off, didn't
you? Stripped off down to my pants. And that lady,
Gail
came down.
She's lovely, Gail.
Because
if there was anyone going to walk in on me and my pants, I'd want it to be Gail.
Oh, she was lovely, and I was just there, and I was sweating. When I get a migraine, I need to get cold, and I need to contort my body so that there's a weird tension going up my spine and across my neck and my arms that kind of just the stretching kind of helps. And so I'm in my pants, literally like this, and she came in and she went, bloody hell, are you... Because my wife, or the producer in Birmingham, someone had phoned her up. And she said, are you all right? And I thought, oh, I can't talk. She said, do you want anything? And you come across that, and it's literally how I was speaking. You kind of think, your first instinct is to phone an ambulance. And I was saying, I'm fine. Do you want an ambulance? Honestly, I'm fine. And I knew I'd be fine. I just had to get through it. I had to go through the other side. Oh, it was awful. If anyone's got a recording of that, I'd love to hear it, just to see...
what happened?
Well, to hear how poorly I sounded. Maybe I sounded all right. My computer's going to run out of battery. That's fine. That's good. I've got to charge it. But yeah, that's Thomas Schaffenacker, who's a firebrand, isn't he? Remember, he got taken off the TV for. Do you remember why?
Didn't he do a rude gesture?
Yeah, doing what we would all do in
Flick
a
someone
TV
the bird,
studio.
didn't
He was giving someone the finger. He was stood by the weather in the BBC News box and giving the finger, and they threw over to him, and it cut to him holding the finger, and he went, "Oh!" And he it literally made that noise.
Can you imagine being told off for that?
God.
As an adult.
On the dour, miserable BBC as well. Oh, man alive. He would have got rollocked for that. Let's go to Kyle. Evening, Kyle.
Evening, boss. You all right?
No, I'm good, thank you, Kyle. What you got for us?
Well, I just want to point out Catherine's right and you're wrong, mate. Sorry about number of callers.
Go on.
You went through a list, didn't you?
Right.
Yeah. Do you want to do it again, or are you happy with what you provided?
What? So I missed a call.
You missed a caller, and Catherine got it.
Right, well, who was the caller?
It was Jonathan.
Yes.
Right, but hang on a minute.
So we had 2 in the second hour.
Okay, well, so we've had 6 calls, and I'm not counting this as a call. This doesn't count.
What, are you erasing me from history now? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, definitely. What I mean,
right.
Just to be right, you would actually get rid of someone off the face of the planet.
It's only Kyle.
Oh.
I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to kill him. I'm not. Don't worry, Kyle. I'm not going to murder you. Ed, there's a phone call. For God's sakes, grab it. I am not going to murder you, Kyle. If you got murdered, that would be a coincidence.
Wow.
Well, I've been sat here for a week listening to you hold up with Jimmy Cricket, who's still maintaining he's from Ireland, so, you know.
Jimmy Cricket is from Ireland? What are you talking about?
Oh, hang on, no, the other way around. He's not from Ireland. He's from Rochdale.
Al?
Yeah, hello.
What have you called in for?
Oh, I was just calling in because you were talking about Saturday Night Live earlier, and I was just thinking about that and why I was going to just wonder why we weren't sort of matching the Americans at their game by having our own kind of version of that, really.
Because we haven't got 350 million people to pick the talent from it. We can't do it. We've tried variations.
I know. I was thinking we're just a bit too stiff when we do it. But if you think back, we had shows like That Was the Week That Was that started that kind of whole thing off way back in the 60s, and it's just, nowadays it's just. Just haven't managed
But was That Was the Week That Was? Ooh.
Yeah.
But was That Was the Week That Was that funny?
Oh, my dad used to say it was good.
Yeah.
My dad used to really, really, he'd say, we used to have the satire boom in the 60s and people, coming on and...
Hang on a minute, Saturday Night Live isn't that funny, really. I've seen it. It's very, very hit and miss.
It's very patchy, but I mean, you're quite right. But if you think about it, it's like they're writing sketches very quickly. A bit like the old, I don't know, some radio. It's a bit more like a radio thing in some way.
11 o'clock show.
Tell you what's brilliant that we need over here.
Yeah.
Daily Show. The Jon Stewart Daily Show was just perfect.
Well, hang on a minute. But no one watches it now. That another fella's. I don't even know the name
Trevor
of it.
Noah.
John Oliver.
John Oliver.
No,
I like John Oliver in it.
But John Oliver's not doing the Daily Show. He does the John Oliver show.
He does.
Oh, does he? Oh, it's Trevor Noah, isn't it now?
Yeah.
Is it Trevor Noah?
Yeah.
Yes.
South African guy.
Yeah. John Oliver does Last Week Tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
You see, not to downgrade. Well, yeah, I mean, we don't really do it well here. They did try some with Charlie Brooker was on one, who's a funny guy, and they all look very, very stiff in their suits and stuff, and they never get to loosen up and
But John Oliver's British, because I was up for the same job that he got on the Daily Show. I auditioned for that as well,
did you?
Yeah. Oh yes, I did. There was a slot came available, and Gervais put a few names forward, including me and John Oliver, and we auditioned for it, and I was awful for it, and John Oliver got it, and rightfully so. But he's it's the machine around him. It's anyone can sit there and read auto cue and do all of that.
That's what it's the team of writers, isn't it? Writing quickly and they're throwing in ideas, and each kind of cannibalising each other's scripts a bit and throwing in ideas, and then there's performers coming in and out. And we had Saturday Live in the 80s, but we haven't done anything that vibrant. And topical for
Hang on a minute, Al. Hang on a minute.
Sorry, I do remember you in the 11 Club.
No. I was teasing. But Kyle seems to be a bit of an expert on everything this evening.
Oh, go on then.
No. I was just going to say.
I'm only teasing. Go on.
For the first time ever, last week.
Yes, boss.
It was the most scripted episode, and I'm sure you're going to both. Well, you certainly, Ian, will sort of say it's all scripted, but it's the most scripted episode of Have I Got News for You ever.
I didn't see it. I didn't catch it.
Really? Yeah.
Who was hosting it?
Oh, it was a guy. He was in The Thick of It, the film In the Loop.
Chris
Mollander.
Moinder.
Tom Hollander, no?
Tom Hollander.
Yes, Tom Hollander. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's quite funny. I think he's in Rev.
Yes, he is. He's the vicar, isn't he? But it was the most scripted, honestly. There was something about it, and I've watched it since, when it started, which dates me. But I was like, that was the one where I was like, nah, this is so scripted, and it just wasn't. I don't know.
Yeah, the panel show. Yeah, I mean that's the best of the panel shows, isn't it? But the panel show format is getting a bit long in the tooth, to say the least, isn't it? Now it's kind of.
Here's my controversial thing. Get rid of Hislop and Merton from Have I Got News for You?
I think Hislop is still brilliant because he's what they said on. He's a bit of a polemicist, as they used to say, and that was the week that was. They had what's his name, Bernard Braden or something. But I think Paul Merton's kind of brand of surrealism is. I don't know. I don't mean to be cruel to him, but.
I'm sure he can.
There was just something, I don't know, like I said, something. And you see, I'm the opposite view, because I still read Private Eye, and I enjoy what Paul...
You can answer this, Carl. When's the next issue of Private Eye out?
Wednesday, I think.
Right. Okay. I must get a copy.
Yeah, it's very highbrow now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, no, it's good.
Must get a copy.
Yeah,
all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Al. Nice to talk to both of you.
Nice one.
Tutty bye, tutty bye, tutty bye, tutty bye. Who was that? That was Dodd, wasn't it? Tutty bye. And Michael Benteen was what was his programme? I mentioned it last week. Potty Time.
What?
It's Potty Time.
Is that real?
Yeah. With the do you remember Potty Time with Michael Benteen? And he had this world in front of him with these little things, and the explosions would go off and stuff, and it'd be the potty men would be. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Anyway,
It sounds like fun.
Yeah, it was the old days. I'll be honest, the old days were rubbish. Here we go. You can borrow the Tony Robinson book.
Can I?
Hand it back when you're done. It is signed. That's it. Thank you, Edward. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you to Tony Robinson. The book is No Cunning Plan. I thoroughly recommend it. Thank you to the 4 callers we had this evening. Back tonight at 10. Ta-ta.
Talk Radio. Dial up some dialogue.
Talk Radio. We'll get you talking.